So hey guys, how are you all? Welcome to Tsunami. So we are back with a brand new movie on what if Naruto was ignored by Temari for his parents movie. But before we start, be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. Now let's begin the story. This was the conversation of an old man and a young child as they traveled through the desert together, along with 5 other individuals, all of whom were wearing masks. The old man had a rather wrinkled face, radiating wisdom, kindness, and power that any 5 men in their prime could only hope to match. He was wearing red and white robes with a funny red and white diamond-shaped hat, with the kanji for fire on the front of it. This man was Sarutobi Hiruzen, the Sandaime Hokage, leader, protector, and strongest man in Konohagakure no Sato, the village hidden in the leaves. The child was a 5-year-old red-headed boy, with the most entrancing eyes you could ever see, the left one being a beautiful sky blue and the right being a rather startling shade of violet. 2. Whisker marks on his face, and lightly tanned skin. This boy was Uzumaki Naruto, orphan, scapegoat, and Jinchuriki of the second most powerful being in the world, the Kyuubi no Kitsune, or the 9-tailed demon fox. He became as such when the Kyuubi attacked his village 5 years ago on October 10th, not even an hour after Naruto's umbilical cord was cut, forcing the 4th Hokage, Namikaze Minato, to seal the demon into the child, his own son. Though only about 5 people knew, at the cost of both their lives, literally with Minato, him actually meeting the Shinigami, and figuratively with Naruto, as he became Konoha's most hated resident, as many saw him as the demon itself and not as a child. They were on a journey to their ally, Sanagakure, the village hidden in the sand. Well, the Hokage was. The 5 masked individuals were Anbu, Konoha's elite forces, acting as the Hokage's guards and enforcers. Each had a different mask depicting an animal: Osu, boar; Kane, turtle; Keiru, frog; Saru, monkey; and Inu, dog. 3. And they were there as an escort. Naruto was there because Hiruzen didn't trust the villagers not to kill the boy while he was gone. When they finally stopped for the night at an oasis, 4 of the 5 masked individuals leapt away, with Inu simply staying with sitting down and talking to Naruto, as he was assigned to protect the boy pretty much since day 1. The old man then set up camp for them with a tent for himself and a smaller one for Naruto. He then went inside the tent, sat down in a chair that had been stored via the miracle of Funjutsu, pulled out a small orange book, and started to giggle like a small girl. After about 5 minutes, he suddenly felt a rather strong pulse of an unfamiliar chakra of at least Chunin level. When he rushed out of the tent, the first thing he saw was Naruto jumping around like a crazy person, while Inu simply stood there, his body language going back and forth between curiosity and shock. "I told you I could do it, Inu-sensei," shouted the boy, making the Hokage wonder at the implications. "Inu-san, what does he mean, sensei?" asked the Hokage to the suddenly sheepish Inu. "Well, Hokage-sama, I've been teaching Naruto-kun here for about half a year now, and when he told me he could access his chakra at will, I asked for a demonstration." 4. Said the man in the dog mask, getting a frown form the aged Hokage. "Why have you been teaching him? You know that he's set to go to the academy in a year where he'll get all the attention and help he needs there," queried the old man, getting a disbelieving shake of the head from Inu, while Naruto went down to play in the water. "I am sorry, but I must disagree with you on that, Hokage-sama. I've seen how people treat him, how they stare at him. The instructors won't give a damn about that boy, and I won't let them sabotage Sensei's legacy. You know just as I do, that all the other shinobi family children are probably doing the same thing that I am doing. I just want to make sure that he has a chance to become the best shinobi that he can be," he said, getting a reluctant nod and a sigh from the old man. "Very well, if you wish to continue to teach him, then I will allow you to do so until he enters the academy, and maybe a little after that, unless circumstances prohibit such an event," said the red and white clad man, before going back into his tent, leaving the 2 to their own devices. Next day, Sanagakure main gate. As the group of 7 entered the gates, they were met by 3 people, a man with red hair, teal eyes, and the same robes as the Hokage, but green instead of red. 5. A young boy with purple paint on his face, wearing all black and holding a small puppet, and a young girl with sandy blonde hair and ponytails who was wearing a kimono. "She's pretty," thought Naruto, as he hid behind the Hokage with a blush. "Welcome, Hokage Dono, to Sanagakure," said the man in the green robes. "May I introduce you to my children, Temari and Kankuro? I'd introduce Gaara, but no one seems able to find him." "Is there cause for concern?" asked the kindly Hokage, only to get a shake of the head. No, he disappears all the time. Suna's a big place, and there's plenty of places for him to be. I am not worried," replied the Cage easily, getting a glare from the blonde girl. which he either ignored or he didn't notice. Hello, said Naruto to the blonde girl, still blushing, getting knowing smiles from the two cages and the adults present. Hi, she said to him with a smile, getting an even bigger blush. I am Temari. What's your name? Yu Uzumaki Naruto. 6. It's nice to meet you, Naruto-kun. This is Kankuro, by the way, she told him, almost as if it were an afterthought, getting a pout from the purple boy. Hello, Kankuro-san. Why are you wearing makeup? Asked an innocent Naruto, getting laughs from everyone but Kankuro, who wanted to strangle him. It's war paint, he mumbled, though everyone ignored him. With that, the group began to walk into the village. After about 5 minutes, Naruto noticed a group of children about his age, give or take a few years, playing a game with a ball. This causes his chest to hurt remembering the fact that he wasn't allowed to play with anyone in Konoha, so he decided to see if these kids wanted to play with him. As he left the group, Temari was the only one to notice he was missing, everyone else being too caught up in listening to the cages talk. Hello, may I play with you? Asked the blonde boy timidly, already steeling himself for the harsh denial and hurtful words. Sure. We're playing soccer. 7. You can be on my team, a little girl told him. Really? Asked Naruto hopefully, before he became nervous and started staring at the ground. I don't know how to play. We can show you. I am you, the girl told him, getting an ecstatic nod and an introduction from Naruto. After about 20 minutes of learning and playing, the ball was accidentally kicked out of the playing area towards a small red-headed boy with rings around his teal, pupil-less eyes, carrying a teddy bear. The boy picked up the ball with a hopeful expression on his face, and approached the children playing. Here, may I play with you? Asked the boy, holding out the ball, only to get fearful expressions from all the other children but Naruto. Get away from him. It's the demon, he's going to kill us all. With these shouts, Naruto flinched and got ready to flee, only to realize that the comments weren't addressed towards him, but towards the smaller redhead. At that point, a large amount of sand began to float up like a snake, causing the children to run away, only for one of the sand tendrils to attack you, getting a panicked look from everyone there, including the redhead. When the tendril was about 3 feet away from the child, a man with sandy brown hair and big, blue eyes, which made him look somewhat feminine, knocked away all of the sand, and stared at the raccoon-eyed boy with what seemed like disappointment, causing him to tear up and run away, dropping his teddy. Naruto stared after the boy, remembering his own treatment in Konoha, remembering the hell that was loneliness, thinking of how all he wanted was a friend. While he didn't know why the people did these things, he determined that he wasn't going to let another person go through that, even if they were from different villages. With that thought, Naruto picked up the other boy's teddy bear and took off after him. While that may have been his thought, thinking is one thing, doing is another. While was able to follow the redhead, he was only able to do so because he was older, taller, and therefore faster, as the other boy went through twists and turns, through alleys, and unpopulated areas. After 20 minutes of running, the smaller boy finally stopped in a dead-end alley behind a dumpster, crying. When Naruto walked up to the boy, he started to scoot backwards while on his rear and screaming, I am sorry. Please, just leave me alone. When this happened, Naruto simply smiled and held out the teddy bear, getting a confused look from the other boy. You dropped this, said Naruto, without any hint of fear. After Naruto said that, the young boy asked, why are you being nice to me? It's not nice being lonely, is it? You look like you needed a friend, and I don't see why it should be me. The redhead at first didn't understand what the older boy was saying. When it finally processed, he felt the strangest feeling in his chest, a warmth that he had never felt before, except with his uncle. He then jumped at Naruto, hugged him and started crying, causing Naruto to drop the teddy bear as he hugged the boy back. Gaara, are you alright? At this voice, both Naruto and the now identified Gaara looked towards the entry of the alley, seeing Temari there. Oni-san? Asked Gaara, shocked at the question, which she had never asked before. Temari-chan? Asked Naruto, wondering what she was doing there. Hey, what are you three doing over there? Asked another voice. Before a person wearing a Suna Junin outfit appeared in a slight gust of wind, before realizing exactly who they were, seeing Gaara, he immediately grabbed Naruto and Temari by the arms and started to drag them away, saying, Temari-san, Shisimono, little one, you should fraternize with that thing. He'll forgive you this once because you're both young and one of you is foreign, but this is your last warning, don't let it influence you. But he's my friend, stated Naruto, trying to get back to his first friend. But he's my little brother, said Temari, trying to go to her sibling. As all this was happening, Gaara simply picked up his teddy bear, hugged it, and sobbed. With the cage's Kazekage-sama, I found these two children, talking to the demon. I know that Temari-san is your daughter, but I don't know who the boy is. Is he yours, Hokage-sama? Asked the Suna Junin, as he walked up with the still struggling children. Gigi, tell this Tem to get off, would you? Asked Naruto, getting sweat drops from everyone, including Kankuro and Temari, at his blatant disrespect to, arguably, one of the strongest men in the world. Where did you run off to, Naruto-kun? And why am I just finding out about this now? Asked Hiruzen, aiming the second question at Inu, getting the young man to sheepishly scratch the back of his head. I was listening to you, Hokage-sama, said Inu, getting a sigh from the old man. Now, why did you run off? Asked Hiruzen. I saw some other kids playing, and I wanted to join, explained Naruto, while Temari said that she wanted to make sure that he didn't get lost. Naruto, I am not mad that you ran off, I am just sad that you didn't tell me, explained the old man, to which Naruto lowered his head shamefully. Now that that's settled, how about we continue figuring out how to make our alliance stronger, Hokage Dono, said the case cage, getting a nod from Hiruzen. Snagature 2 weeks later. It had been a rather interesting 2 weeks for Naruto. Every day he would go out, followed by Temari, and find Gaara and try and get to know him. Gaara was weary of the two of them at first, but eventually opened up to them, and they'd play and talk until one of the Suna shinobi, usually a Chunin, came to take the innocent children from the clutches of the demon. Naruto and Temari would then be taken to the case cage's manor where they spent time with Temari's other brother and uncle, the man who had saved the girl the first time Naruto saw Gaara, and finally going to sleep before Gaara got back. The man's name was Yashimaru, and he was the brother-in-law of the case cage. He was also the only person besides the case cage who was allowed to be alone with Gaara, everyone else being too weak to survive an encounter with the boy. He was also the person Temari loved most besides her mother, was the one who spent the most time with Gaara, and who taught Gaara everything. Then, the Hokage would come, take Naruto to the hotel, the blonde would train with Inu a little, and then they'd go to sleep so that the day would begin again. But this day was different. It started out as usual, with Naruto waking up, saying bye to Inu and telling the man where he was going. Since they were in Suna, it was believed that Naruto would be safe. So he was sometimes allowed to roam, meeting up with Temari, finding Gaara, and then doing whatever they so desired. But each of the three children had a very bad feeling of this day, and whereas usually they could only play for a few hours, today, they were together even into the night. So, with the feeling getting worse and worse, they simply decided to go home for the day. This plan was ruined, however, when several kunai came, and were blocked by a startled Gaara's sand, only for around 25 Suna nins to appear, all of whom had cloths covering their heads and faces so that only their eyes showed. We have tried to warn you time after time, you must stay away from the demon. Since you didn't listen, it is obvious that you are in its thralls, and therefore must be purified. I only hope that you find peace in Shinigami-sama's embrace, stated the lead shinobi, a Junin, as he pulled out several more kunai, a motion copied by the others. When this happened, Temari was furious as to what the man had said, and was not shy in voicing her opinion. Gaara was saddened that these people were going to take his sister and his first friend away, and heard a voice in his head screaming for him to do horrible things to these men. Naruto was shocked at what they had said, mostly because they were the case cage's children, but also slightly because he was with the Hokage, and at Gaara's sand blocking the kunai. When the shinobi drew more kunai, he grabbed both Temari and Gaara's hands and took off running in the opposite direction, getting flashbacks of when the same thing happened in Konoha. Seeing this, the crueler of the shinobi laughed at this, and decided to humor the children, staying one step behind them, while occasionally throwing a kunai, getting the sand to rise once again. As the children were running, Temari kept trying to tell Naruto something while he ignored her, and Gaara was saying that they should leave him behind since, for some reason, he didn't want to see them hurt. After about 5 minutes of running, Naruto turned a corner, and realized that it was a dead end, but by the time they had turned back around, the mob was already blocking the entrance. What do we do now? Asked Naruto. Why wouldn't you listen to me? I told you that you should let me lead, yelled Temari. With that, one of the Chunins threw a kunai at them, only for it to be blocked by the sand. Then, there was the sound of a fuse burning, before an explosive note that had been wrapped around the handle went off, making Naruto and Temari go off in one direction, and Gaara go in another. Temari-chan! Screamed Naruto, as got up, seeing her unconscious. Forgive me, but I must do this, said random Suna Chunin 12, as he threw his kunai, only for Naruto to cover Temari, making it hit him in the shoulder. Screamed the redhead, what the hell? Do it quickly, are you trying to make them suffer? Asked random Suna Chunin 8. Sorry, random Suna Chunin 12 said quickly, as he pulled out another kunai, intent on ending the children's life. As he approached, time seemed to go in slow motion for Naruto. He looked at Gaara, who was currently curled in a corner, staring at them in horror as his sands protected him from the others. He looked at Temari, still unconscious beneath him. He stared at the Chunin, wanting to kill them for reasons he couldn't fathom. In that instance, something happened, something clicked in his head, and he reached both palms up, pointing at random Suna Chunin 12 and focused his chakra. Once he did this, he felt himself getting warmer, before a beautiful red-orange orb appeared, hovering about half a foot away from his palms. What am I supposed to do with this again? Naruto suddenly asked. Cut! Shouted the director, me. From his place behind the camera, you're supposed to shoot the orb at random Suna Chunin 12 and kill him. Why'd I have to do that? Asked the boy, not really wanting to do so, as Gaara clutched his head in seeming pain. It's to protect Temari and yourself, explained the director. Didn't you read the script? Not Ray, began Naruto, only to be interrupted by Gaara. You're breaking the fourth wall. You're breaking the fourth wall. Hey, sorry about that, Gaara, said Naruto, sheepishly rubbing the back of his head. Anyways, action, shouted the director. With that, Naruto focused his chakra into the orb, and it shot at the Chunin, who, not expecting something like that, had no time to dodge and was hit, making a massive cloud of steam appear and block everyone's vision. When the steam cleared, it revealed a heavily panting Naruto and the Chunin, who had somehow become a mummy. What? That was Shikuden, Scorch Release. How could that brat know it? Did the demon steal from Pakura-sama and give it to that boy? Questioned random Suna Chunin 5. You little fucker. I'll show you to steal from Suna, shouted random Suna Chunin 19, who went to stab the exhausted Naruto as he continued to protect Temari, only to receive a kunai to the back of the neck. What the hell? Who threw that? Asked random Suna Chunin 15. When everyone turned to wear the kunai, everyone in the group immediately began to sweat and tremble. The woman was a fairly tall kunoichi. She was fair-skinned with pupilless brown eyes, had green hair that she tied in a bun on top of her head with a hair needle running through it and a pair of orange bangs framing each side of her face. Her attire consisted of a sleeveless, backless top and short tight pants, with 2 lapels on the front and the back as well as an obi around her waist, purple arm warmers which extend to mid-bicep, and bandages around her ankles. Pakura-sama, what are you doing here? Asked one of the suddenly nervous men. I sensed someone using Shikuden and decided to come investigate. Since I am the only one in the village registered as able to do so. Imagine my surprise when I come across several Chunins and a couple of Junins attacking 3 children, 2 of whom are the Kage's children, and 1 of whom is part of the Hokage's ambassadorial party, the now identified Pakura told the men, as several more red-orange orbs, which everyone, including Naruto, noticed were much larger and brighter than the blondes, began to swirl around her, making a few of the men run away, with the rest becoming extremely nervous. We just wanted to get rid of that thing and bar that. Deny it, the satisfaction of a friend, stammered one of the more terrified of the group, random Suna Chunin 6, hoping that cooperating would make it so that he didn't die a horrible, painful death. I see, then I regret to inform you that there is no demon here. Now please leave so that I don't have to do something drastic, sated the woman, making over half of the group to disappear, while the others frowned. Did I stutter? Please leave, now said Pakura firmly, getting glares from a few of the shinobi that were left, and one to step forward. I am sorry, Pakura-sama, but if you're defending that thing, then it obviously has you in its thralls as well. You must be cleansed as well. Goodbye, said the man, getting nods from the rest, who then attacked the woman, who sighed and killed them all, just in time for a group, including the Kages, to show up on the scene. Pakura. What happened here? Why are all these men dead? Asked the Kage, getting Pakura to stand at attention. Sir, Kage-sama, sir, I was walking home from dinner. When I felt the use of Shikuden chakra, knowing that I am the only one registered as able to do so, I immediately investigated, and found several Chunins and a pair of Junins attempting to kill the demon and cleanse its friends. I killed one as he was attempting to kill the whiskered boy with a kunai, and the rest as they attacked me after I warned them to go away, them stating that I was in the demon's thrall, reported the green head, getting shocked looks from everyone. Upon hearing this, the Kage immediately went over to the children, kneeled down, and asked, so which one of you did it? Which one of you made a red ball that made someone do that? He questioned, pointing at one of the still steaming men, getting looks from the children before Temari and Gaara pointed at Naruto, who had raised his hand. Interesting, and how did you do that? Asked the man, getting a shrug from Naruto, who then tried to explain. I felt scared when Temari-chan was hurt, and then, I knew how, said Naruto, not really knowing how to explain it with his adolescent mind. Sounds like what happened the first time I used it, mused Pakura. What's your name, boy? Uzumaki Naruto, responded Naruto, finally catching his breath. Uzumaki. Interesting, my great-grandfather was an Uzumaki, he had it, and I am the only one in my family to get it since, said Pakura to herself, shocking everyone but the cage. Well, if that's all, we should get Temari-chan and Naruto-kun to the hospital, said the Hokage, as he picked up Naruto and the Yashimaru picked up Temari, and they left the area, leaving the Anbu to clean up Pakura's mess. Snag your main gate. 1 week later it was a rather sad time for the Hokage, as he was saying goodbye to Naruto. Not forever mind you, simply for a year, until he was trained in his Shikuden by this Pakura woman. Why a year you ask? Because Naruto was due to begin his stay in the academy then. Looking back now, Hiruzen sighed as he and the cage had reached an agreement on how to strengthen Suna's relations with Konoha. Flashback no Jutsu Cage's office. I have an idea on how to improve the relationship of our village, said the cage from his place behind his desk, the only people in the room being himself and Hiruzen. Oh, and how is that? Asked the Hokage, already knowing the answer, but still dreading it. Political marriage, between Naruto and Temari, answered the green-clad man, confirming Hiruzen's fears. I understand Naruto, he has a Genkai that is thought exclusive to Suna, but why Temari? Because she is my daughter, I couldn't ask someone else to do what I couldn't, plus the two of them seem to have hit it off, he replied easily. I don't know, Naruto-kun may never forgive me for something like that, plus, there are things you should know if such a thing were to happen. Such as? Wondered the red-haired man, honestly curious. For starters, Naruto is the Jinchuriki of our village and the Kyuubi. If there is a marriage, for political reasons, they will have to live in Konoha, said Hiruzen, getting a shocked look from the cage. Interesting, but inconsequential. If Temari must leave, then so be it. However, any children they have must be given the option to become Suna shinobi. Especially if they get the Shikuden, the cage told the man, getting a nod before he continued. I will say this though, he will need training to control his gift, and what better person to train him than someone with the same ability. I propose that he stay here for a length of time to train under Pakura. I also know of your academy, and I feel as though it is too soft, so I want you to give Temari private tutoring, especially in whatever her elemental affinity happens to be. I suppose, but he can only stay here a year before the academy starts in 1 year. I see, that should be more than enough time for Naruto to learn the basics. Very well, acquiesced the old man, before the two of them started hammering out the exact details of the arrangement. Flashback no Jutsu Kai. After he snapped out of his daze, the kind old man looked once more at the small boy who was one of his favorite people in the world, who was jumping up and down at the prospects of becoming stronger. Goodbye Naruto-kun. I can't wait to see you again, he told the young boy, getting him to calm down and smile at the man. Don't worry Gigi, in 1 year, I'll come back home, and I'll take that kick-ass pointy hat from you. I have no doubt that you will, Naruto. Now, stay safe, and don't forget to write. I will Gigi, see you in a year, said the boy, as he reached up and hugged the old man, a gesture that was returned warmly. See you in a year. With that, Naruto watched as the Hokage left, wondering what the next year was going to bring. With the Hokage's party, Hiruzen noticed that Inu seemed slightly depressed. Inu-san, is something the matter? He asked, getting a sigh in response. It's just that, I don't know, you only gave me permission to teach Naruto-kun less than a month ago, and now I can't do that, he replied, getting a shocked look from the old man. Really, strange, I had forgotten all about that, he said with a laugh, getting a sweat drop from Inu and all the other Anbu. Konoha main gate. 1 year later it was a slightly funny scene, for those who could understand. At the main gate of Konohagakure no Sato, with the cage arriving with several masked individuals, one green-haired woman, a man drunkenly stumbling, and 3 children, 2 redheads and a blonde, being greeted by the Hokage, and a young man with short brown hair and beard, smoking a cigarette, his son Asuma, who had just come back from being one of the Shugonin Junishiite Guardian Shinobi 12, this scene being almost an inverse of 1 year ago. As they were approaching, Naruto, who was looking forwards to talking with the old man, was having flashbacks of the various things that had happened in the year. His first training session, flashback no Jutsu 1 year ago. It was the day after Hiruzen had left, and Naruto and Pakura were about a mile outside of the village. What are we doing here, Pakura-sensei? Asked Naruto, who was sweating up a storm from the heat while the woman was standing there like she was standing in the most temperate climate imaginable. We are here to train you in the Shikuden, a purely offensive Kekkei Genkai. Even if you use it to defend, I want you to know that no matter where you hit a person with this ability, you are ruining their day, she told him, getting a nod and then a confused look from Naruto. What's a keke genkai? He asked, sighing. Bakura explained all that he needed to know. Elemental affinities, chakra papers, types of keke genkai, and which elements made up Shikuden, fire and wind. 8. So we're related? Asked Naruto, with a hopeful look on his face, before it came crashing down around him at her reply. Not enough to count, kid, sorry. After about 20 minutes of sulking, Naruto asked another question, are you going to teach me anything else? While her immediate answer should have been no, after some consideration, she decided that it might be a good thing to teach someone what she knew of being a shinobi, because, hey, if he became famous, she could brag about being his teacher, and if not, then he would fade into obscurity, and no one would ever know. Tell you what, brat, you master Shikuden to a level 1 deem acceptable, and I'll teach you a few more things. How does that sound? Asked the woman, getting an enthusiastic nod from the boy. Now, I want you to think back to when you first used this ability. I want you to try and feel that warmth. I want you to think of whatever it was that made you do it. As she said this, Naruto attempted to do as she instructed, only to fail each time. After about 5 minutes, Bakura stopped him, and asked what he was doing. I am doing exactly what you said to. I am trying to make it come out, he told her, getting a shake of the head. Relax, take a deep breath, try again, don't concentrate too hard or you're going to pop something, just focus on the same warmth you felt a week ago, she told him, before pulling out a kuani, and if that doesn't work, we can skip right to the drastic measures. Paling rapidly, Naruto immediately did as she instructed, finally getting the red orb to appear. Wonderful, now we work on control, see if you can get it to move. Flashback no Jutsu Kai the day he learned of his burden. Flashback no Jutsu 10 months ago Naruto was sitting in the living room of the Kasuke's mansion, it was around 8 at night, and nobody else was there but him and Yashimaru. He was feeling rather down, because the villagers had been meaner than normal to Gaara that day. Seeing that something was amiss, Yashimaru, being the kind man that he was, asked what was wrong. Why are people so mean to Gaara? He hasn't done anything wrong, they treat him like the people back home treat me, Naruto admitted, making the effeminate man remember that Hiruzen said Naruto was a Jinchuriki, but didn't know it. After thinking about it, he decided to tell the truth of whatever question the boy asked, but wouldn't tell him anything if he didn't. Gaara is what is called a Jinchuriki, meaning the power of a human sacrifice. That means he has one of the 9 Biju sealed inside of him. That's what gives him his control over sand, and why so many people, including Konkuro, fear him. They see him as the demon and not as himself, but he isn't a demon, just a small boy with a terrible burden. He has a demon sealed inside of him, but he isn't a demon himself? Am I a Jinchuriki? I am treated the same way as Gaara. Does that mean I have a demon in me too? Am I a Jinchuriki? Naruto asked Yashimaru, getting a sigh and a grim look. Yes, Naruto, you are. Hokage-sama told us that what you hold is the Kyuubi, the 9-tailed fox that attacked your village on the day of your birth, leading to the 4th Hokage sealing it into you. Does that mean I am a demon? Am I just a monster that attacked the village? Asked Naruto, getting a shake of the head. Of course not. You are simply a young man who has had too much sadness in his life, answered Yashimaru, before he struck a pose that suggested he was deep in thought. I am curious as to how you don't know this though. You have the most powerful demon sealed inside of you while Gaara has the weakest. Your seal must be very good to hold such power. I mean, Gaara's seal is too weak to hold his, which is why he can't ever sleep. What's a seal? Asked Naruto, wanting to know if he could help his friend in any way possible. A seal is a product of Fuinjutsu, an obscure branch of the shinobi arts that is considered one of the most terrifying, and one of the most difficult to learn. It is where you take one thing, and put it into another. With it you can make anything from sealing scrolls to barriers to Jinchuriki, explained Yashimaru. Can you make a seal better after it's made? Asked Naruto. I don't think so. I mean, you can reinforce it with more seals, but other than that, why do you ask? Because I want to know if I can let Gaara sleep, answered Naruto with the utmost determination. I don't know if you can do something like that, Naruto-kun. Our best Fuinjutsu expert made Gaara-kun's seal and even then it's faulty. Your seal was done by the 4th Hokage himself, one of the greatest shinobi ever to exist, and a true Fuinjutsu master. Then that's even better. If I want to be the best Hokage ever, then I have to surpass all of them, shouted Naruto. Very well, Naruto-kun. I'll see if I can convince Chiyo-sama to teach you. 1 week later. All right. Where is this brat? I don't have all day, I need to get back to fishing. Hearing this, Naruto and Temari decided to investigate. Please be patient, Chiyo-sama. I am sure this won't take long, said the effeminate man, hoping to not piss the old woman off since she could still kick his ass, even with her advanced age. Hello? Asked Naruto, startling the 2 adults slightly, causing them to look at the 2 children. Is that him? Asked the old woman, getting a nod from Yashimaru. Very well. She then knelt in front of Naruto. Why do you want to learn Fuinjutsu? Probably just a phase. Why did I come here again? Oh yeah, Yashimaru-kun is pretty much the only person I can stand and he asked a favor. Wait, has the kid been talking this whole time? I am sorry, could you repeat that, Gaki? She asked, to which Naruto huffed and told her again. I want to become the best Hokage ever. To do that, I need to become even greater than the Yodem, but to me, that'll just be a bonus. I mostly want to help Gaara, he can't sleep, and his Biju, offered Yashimaru. Yeah, Biju, tries to make him not be him. I want to help him because he is my first and best friend. Naruto finished answering honestly, determination shining in his eyes, making Chio stare at him in wonder, before she gained a small smile. So he just wants to help Gaara, Maybe he can undo my mistake. Very well, Gaki, I'll teach you, but I can only teach you from 6:30 to 9, she told him, earning an excited nod from the boy. Flashback no Jutsu Kai and the day his more interesting sensei showed up. Flashback no Jutsu 9 months ago Naruto, after a long day of training with Bakura, was walking back to the Kasecage's estate. Currently, he was walking through one of the seedier parts of town in a shortcut, hoping to get back before it got too much darker. As Naruto was walking outside of a bar, suddenly, the doors burst open as a person was thrown through them. After about 5 seconds, a man walked out of the bar surrounded by several others, both shinobi and civilian. He was a tall, muscular and pale-skinned man with straight black hair, which was slicked back and gathered on the back of his head, where it was kept in a bun, hidden away by a white cloth with ruffled edges secured by a similarly colored strip. He had slanted eyes, each bearing 4 tattoos under each, and which were topped by black, arched eyebrows. Hanging from his ears were a pair of light brown earrings, which looked like gourds. His outfit left most of his muscular torso exposed, instead covering his arms and shoulders with dark blue armor plates, which joined on the upper part of his back and are topped by a wide, arched armored collar in correspondence to his nape. Covering his legs were a very baggy pair of dark pants, which ended below his knees, where it gets tighter, and sports large, light motifs reminiscent of flames on the leg's outer edges. Encircling his waist was a light sash tied on his left hip, with its long edges left hanging and gourd hung on a string of his right hip. On his feet were a pair of dark, plain Chinese-looking shoes with light soles. 9. Suddenly, the man started screaming about getting wild and dropped into a rather weird stance, where he bent his knees and diagonally stretching his arms upwards behind his back, making it look like he was about to start flapping them. When the other patrons started to attack him, the man started dodging their attacks, swinging to and fro, seemingly at random, but without wasting a single move. After each dodge, he would strike one of his opponents, with a hard fast blow of the palm, usually taking down the opponents in one strike. While this was happening, Naruto was simply standing there, amazed by the display. After defeating all of his opponents, the man fell on the ground and started snoring, and Naruto cautiously walked up to him, picked up a discarded katana sheath, and started poking the man. 5 more minutes, mommy, I don't want to go to school, mumbled the man, getting a sweat drop from Naruto, who just started poking the man harder. Stop, please stop, you can stop now, I am getting pissed off, stop damn it, shouted the man as he sat bolt upright, grabbed the sheath, and snapped it in half. Looking around for his assailant, he noticed the small red-headed boy looking at him in what seemed like awe. What do you want, Gaki-chan? Slurred the man, getting a tick mark to form on Naruto's head, before he decided to introduce himself. I am Uzumaki Naruto, the next Hokage. How did you do that? Name's Bacchus. Do what? He asked, getting a deadpanned look from the boy, who indicated all the unconscious people around them. Oh, that, like the chop hanging palm. 10. Do you? He asked, getting a nod from the boy. Can you teach me? The boy inquired. After thinking about it for about 30 seconds, Bacchus' liquor-soaked brain couldn't really find anything wrong with doing so, so he simply nodded. Really? You promise? Asked Naruto. I promise. Now run along and let me sleep, replied the half-naked man, as he passed out in the middle of the street and a group of bodies. Sweat dropping, Naruto, being the nice person that he was, decided to bring the man to the Kasecage's place, so he wouldn't sleep on the ground, and started to drag the man away. Took him an hour, rather than the regular 5-minute walk it should have been, by the way. The next day, pain was the first thing that Bacchus registered as he woke up. My head, I need to get a drink or something. Wait, the ground here is weirdly comfortable, where the hell am I? Mused Bacchus aloud to himself. I am glad you find my couch comfortable. Now would you mind telling me what the hell you're doing in my house? Asked a voice. As Bacchus turned, he immediately turned paler than a ghost as he recognized the man glaring down at him, but not the small red head with the teddy bear behind him. Kasecage-sama. Yes, now give me one reason I should NT kill you. Wait, shouted Naruto as he came down the stairs. Naruto-kun? Asked the leader of Suna with a raised brow. That's my sensei, said the boy, getting surprised looks from the two men, as well as Temari and Konkuro, who were just coming down the stairs. What do you mean Sensei Gaki-chan? Asked Bacchus, the night still hazy in his mind. You promised that you'd teach me the chop hang, started Naruto, unable to remember the exact name of the technique. Chop hanging palm? Asked Bacchus, getting a nod from Naruto, causing the man so sigh and ask, did I really promise? Getting another nod. Well, if I promised, then I guess I have no choice but to teach you. Yada. So, after a little more explaining, during which Gaara explained that he watched Naruto drag the man in during the night, the group had breakfast, and then Naruto and Bacchus made their way to Naruto's usual meeting place with Bakura. When they got there, Bacchus immediately shot over to Bakura and started hitting on her, only stopping when she threatened to mummify what made him a man. Now, would you mind telling me why you are here, Bacchus-san? Inquired the woman. I am here to teach Gaki-chan here my taijutsu style, chop hanging palm, he told her, getting a shocked look from the woman, who had been considering trying to find Naruto a taijutsu teacher. After a few more minutes of conversation, they decided on a plan for Naruto's training. He would train in the Shikuden from the normal time of 5 a.m., stopping at 11, and then he'd train from noon to 6 with Bacchus, leaving him time for lunch and time afterwards for study with Chio. Now, the chop hanging palm is a style that utilizes nothing but the palms of your hands, focusing on three things: power, speed, and accuracy. Now, usually, you only focus on two of these things. And the third one falls behind. I, however, use all three equally, making it even deadlier, and I will teach you to do the same. Now, the best part of this style is when one uses chakra along with it. If you focus chakra into the palms, you are able to make your strikes even more devastating. And if you use elemental chakra, then it's a whole nother ballpark, allowing you to use a plethora of ill effects, killing a person without even breaking the skin. I, for example, use Raiden, lightning style, with each strike. I can cause anything from paralysis to muscle spasms, to nerve damage or even heart failure. Doden, earth style, petrifies the organs and muscle tissues within the body. With Suiden, water style, because the body is made of water, you have a higher chance of causing ruptures or internal bleeding, or even drowning your opponent on dry land. Futon, wind style, simply shreds the person from the inside, and if you have enough control, you could sever single arteries, or make their organs paste. While finally Kaden, fire style, is able to burn the person's organs and muscles. Master it normally, and it'll teach you the advanced stuff. The version that you saw you are required to be drunk, but I don't really feel like teaching that to a 5-year-old, he told Naruto. Naruto then nodded, before doing everything that he was told by the drunk. After they got back to the mansion, it was agreed that Bacchus would stay there until he finished teaching Naruto. It was pretty funny when one time, Bacchus drunkenly hit on Yashimaru, thinking him to be a female. Flashback no Jutsu Kai. Welcome to Konoha, Keisuke Dono, said the Hokage, before they exchanged the obligatory political small talk, with Naruto introducing Gaara and Temari to Asuma. Hello Asuma-san. I'd like you to meet Gaara and Temari-chan, said the taller redhead, getting a smirk from the smoking man. Oh, is this your girlfriend? He asked, getting a contemplating look from Naruto before he simply shrugged. If she wants to be, he answered honestly, getting a blush from Temari, neither knowing yet of their future. Hokage's office. When the group got to the office, the Hokage ordered everyone but the Keisuke, his children, Bakura, Bacchus, Naruto, and Asuma to leave the office. After the obligatory bitching from their guards, they got straight to business. Now, Naruto, do you know why Keisuke Dono allowed you to train under Bakura for a year? Asked the Hiruzen, getting a shake of the head from Naruto. It is because you and Temari are to further relations between Suna and Konoha, replied the old man, getting curious looks from the three children. The two of you are to be in a political marriage, said the Keisuke, shocking the children. What do you mean? Asked Naruto, not really understanding the implications. It means that you and Temari are to move into a house that I prepared for you, go to the academy, and once you both reach Shunin, you are to be married. If you wish to have children, so be it, but it will not be required, explained Hiruzen, making Gaara start to cry. Does that mean I won't see Ni-san, or Ne-chan again? He asked, terrified of the prospect. Of course you will, Gaara-kun, you just won't see them as much. I am sure they'll visit and write at every opportunity, said the Hokage, as the Keisuke watched apathetically. Why'd I have to stay here? Why can't Naruto stay with us? Asked Temari, sad at having to leave her home. Well, you see it's because of the Kyuubi, isn't it? Asked Naruto, interrupting the Hokage, getting a panicked look. How do you know about that? Demanded Hiruzen, before the heterochromic boy told him about Yashimaru and his decision to learn Fuinjutsu. I can even make sealing scrolls and exploding tags, isn't that awesome? Asked Naruto, getting a smile and a nod from the old man. After all things were explained to them, the meeting went on smoothly, and afterwards, they were taken to the house that the Hokage had given them, as Naruto's apartment was much too small for 2 people, let alone 2 people expected to start a family. It wasn't really much, a 2-story house with 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, an office, all the standard things. As soon as they stepped in the front door, Bacchus went over to the couch yelling dibs and fell face first on it, falling asleep, almost instantly. After a brief tour of the house, the future couple said goodbye to the adults, getting a notice that the academy was starting the next day, before they went about their business. After they were gone, Temari simply stared at the door, unable to fully comprehend the fact that she was pretty much on her own with Naruto. She didn't really count Bacchus because he was an alcoholic. Turning to Naruto, she was startled to see that he was smiling with a far-off look in his eyes. Naruto-kun, why are you thinking about? I was just thinking that I like the way our future looks. What do you mean? Don't you know that we're on our own from this point? She asked, getting a shake of the head from Naruto. We're not alone, you have me, and I have you, he said, getting a blush and a smile. And we have Bacchus, and Gigi, and Tuchi-Oji-san, and Ayame-ni-san. There's also Gaara, and your 2-san, he finished eagerly, getting Temari to think, before she nodded and began to explore the house more thoroughly. That night it was around 9:30 p.m., with Naruto sound asleep, when he was awakened by the sound of Temari opening his door, as she had been sleeping in another room. Can I sleep with you? She asked. It's too cold, and I can't sleep, she told him, getting a nod from Naruto, prompting her to climb into the bed, snuggling up to his rather warm body. Must be from his Shikuden, she pondered in her head, before falling into the peaceful abyss of sleep. And that's the first chapter. Please review. I don't really like the conversation with Chio, because I couldn't really think of any way to prolong the conversation. I believe that while Temari may have cared for her brother all her life, she wasn't allowed to show it, with it only being after the Kazekage dies, that she is finally able to express her sisterly affection. Now, before you say anything about how Naruto was able to use the Shikuden at will so quickly, may I remind you that Haku was able to use her Hyeten, ice release, without any prior ninja or chakra training. And before you say anything else, yes, I said Shikuden a lot, there were a lot of flashbacks, and Naruto had teachers coming out of the woodworks to teach him. Screw you if you have a problem with it. Wow, I say things like that a lot, don't I? Screw you if you have a problem with it. Do you think I am just jaded, or am I justified when I say things like that? Maybe I should see a psychiatrist or something. Oh well, you don't really care about that, now do you? No you don't. You just want me to shut up and write the damn story, don't you? Well I think, never mind, I just lost my train of thought. While Naruto will be starting the Uzumaki clan, it will not be like Black Blood where he goes to Uzugakure, finds stuff, and has Uzumakis show up at Konoha. It will just be him and Temari until they have children. Just so you know, Kankuro spent most of his time with the Puppet Brigade, so Naruto never really got to know him. Temari had her own training, and Gaara spent most of his time outside the Kazecage's manor. I will say that I meant to have a flashback where Temari kisses Naruto on the cheek after they have a spar, but I am terrible with emotions, so I'd probably just fuck it up. Omake Naruto's jumpsuit. Based off Iseukami's It's True on DeviantArt, it was a beautiful day in Konoha, and 6-year-olds, Naruto, Shikamaru, and Kiba were hanging out at the park. Suddenly, Kiba asks the 2 others to wait where they were, while he goes and gets something. What do you think it is? Asked Naruto to Shikamaru. It's too troublesome to think about, answered the pineapple-headed boy. It was at this point that Kiba came back with a package that he then gave to Naruto. Here, man, I thought I'd give you a gift, he said, with a rather strange smile. Why are you giving me a gift? Did you get one for Shikamaru? Asked the redhead to the feral child. No real reason, and give it to him tomorrow? Asked Kiba, hoping that Naruto wouldn't catch on. Naruto then shrugged and opened the package, pulling out a hideous orange jumpsuit. What is this for? Asked Naruto, liking the color, but not really wanting to put it on. It's for you, answered Kiba. Are you sure? I don't really think this is appropriate, said Naruto, remembering the books that said dark colors were a shinobi's best friend. That's because started Shikamaru, before he was silenced by Kiba putting a hand over his mouth. That's because, we're not real ninjas yet, we're just academy students. Real ninjas wear bright fluorescent colors. Not only does it look fantastic, but it also warns enemies that you're not to be fucked with. Plus, it makes girls like you. Really? Asked Naruto. Getting a nod from the dog-loving boy, Naruto then thanked him rather loudly, then left, as it was getting to be the time he had to meet with Bacchus. Why did you do that? Asked Shikamaru, watching Naruto leave. Why not? Responded Kiba. Sigh troublesome, said Shikamaru, as he walked away. The next day this morning, Naruto slept in slightly late, for whatever reason. He then decided to put on his new jumpsuit and show his stuff around the village. Walking out of his and Temari's room, down the stairs, he couldn't help but wonder what her reaction was going to be. As he passed the couch where an unconscious Bacchus lay, the man opened one of his eyes, saw Naruto, and immediately closed it again, thinking it to be an alcohol-induced hallucination. There's no way Gaki-chan would wear that abomination, is there? Naruto then walked into the kitchen, just as Temari was biting into an apple, and asked, "Good morning, Temari-chan. What do you think of my new clothes?" Hearing this, Temari looked at Naruto, chewed once, twice, 3 times, swallowed, then smiled a smile and spoke in a tone that sent the fear of death up his spine. Naruto-kun, what are you wearing? It's a new outfit that Kiba gave me. He said that it was the ultimate in ninja wear. He quickly stammered out, before yelping in terror as the apple in Temari's hand exploded as she clenched her fist. Did he now? I guess I'll have to pay him a visit. Suddenly, said tattoo-faced boy shuddered, and decided to stay home that day. Now, why don't you put on something else, before we go to class? Temari inquired, still with that terrifying smile and tone of voice. Nodding vigorously, Naruto then ran upstairs to go change. As he was doing so, Temari heard Bacchus laughing from the couch, shouting, "H.A. You're whipped Gaki-chan. That's why I just bang and bail. Ha, H.A., ha," before he too saw the Shinigami as Temari giggled at his words. What was that, Bacchus-san? Nothing Temari-sama, said the terrified alcoholic, making the female nod in satisfaction. I love being a girl. I plan on having all of Naruto's Shippuden attacks be based off of death and killing, so while I do have a few jutsu I am going to use, if you'd like to give me a few ideas, please give me the Romaji, translation, and description, and I'll credit you if I use it. Shippuden. Kajosatsu, Scorch Release. Extremely Steaming Murder. Cannon. User creates several red-orange flaming orbs that resemble small suns. These orbs rotate around the user and can be freely controlled to attack enemies. When an orb touches an opponent, it apparently evaporates all the water inside their body, leaving them in a mummified state. When this happens, steam can be seen emitting from the opponent's body. However, this technique is vulnerable to water release, which can be used to dissipate the heat, becoming steam. The Kajosatsu kanji is actually Chinese, and all of mine are Japanese, so, yeah, that'll probably explain why mushi is in all of mine, because I guess it translates to steaming. Fun fact, Gyakusatsu can mean both massacre and genocide, so I had to use a different kanji for each. Shippuden. Jiko Omushi, Scorch Release. Steaming Execution. Mine. Naruto places his hand like a gun with his pointer and middle finger out and his thumb up, and a small red-orange fireball about 2 inches wide appears in front of them, which is then shot at varying speeds depending on skill and chakra used at an opponent. Has same effects and weaknesses as Kajosatsu, but only moves in straight line and cannot be controlled. Assassination Jutsu. Shippuden. Gyakusatsu Omushi, Scorch Release. Steaming Massacre. Mine. Naruto places both hands out like in Jiko Omushi, but places his elbows against his ribs, and quickly fires several small red-orange fireballs at the enemies like a machine gun from both hands. Has same effects and weaknesses as Kajosatsu. Only moves in straight line and cannot be controlled. Number, speed, and firing rate of attack depend on skill of usage and chakra amount, control, used for either fast-moving or multiple enemies. Shippuden. Genoseido Omushi, Scorch Release. Steaming Genocide. Kinda mine, incinerating flare technique from the anime. But slightly different, several of the balls of fire combine into one and go off like a nuke, turning all water within the blast radius, whether in the ground, in people, in animals, or in plants into steam. Weakness is water, and its blast radius is dependent upon total number of orbs, amount of chakra used, skill with technique. In regards to the blast, you could stand an inch away, but if you're not within it, you're perfectly fine. Blast radius goes a maximum of 1 foot underground, used for multiple enemies. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX FTW. 3. I got these off of Google Translate. I just put them in and picked whichever had the shortest romaji. 4. I think that's about how long it would take someone that age to do something like that, but I am probably overestimating the difficulty of that. 5. I know that in the anime, during the Chunin exams that the robes are blue, but in the manga they're green, so they're green here. 6. If you're wondering why he's so shy, it's because he's 5, and he's never really had kindness except for the Hokage and Inu, and he's afraid Shell no longer be nice to him for the reason that no adult seems to like him. 7. I am American, and I already have football so you can shove it if you don't like it. I am kidding, but seriously, I call it soccer. 8. Resurrected Minato said so in one of the recent chapters, so that's how it is. 9. No, this is not a Naruto fairy tale crossover. I just wanted Naruto to use his martial arts style, chop hanging palm, because I think it'd be awesome for this story's Naruto. 10. Yes, I know there's a difference between the chop hanging palm and the drunk chop hanging palm, just bear with me here. It was around 9:30 p.m., with Naruto sound asleep, when he was awakened by the sound of Temari opening his door, as she had been sleeping in another room. Can I sleep with you? She asked. It's too cold, and I can't sleep, she told him, getting a nod from Naruto, prompting her to climb into the bed, snuggling up to his rather warm body. Must be from his Shikuden, scorch release, she pondered in her head, before falling into the peaceful abyss of sleep. The next day, surprisingly, it was Bacchus who was the first one up on that particular morning. Thinking this odd, he went to go find his student and his fiancée, to see if Naruto would start breakfast. Upon opening the door, the, for once sober, man smirked seeing the two children sleeping in the same bed. He then walked over to them and shook Naruto awake. Knock it off, Temari. I am trying to sleep. 1. The boy groaned, before noticing that it was Bacchus. What do you want, Bacchus-sensei? Filing that away for future blackmail, the man simply told him that it was time for breakfast and that the academy was in 1 hour. Finally getting up, Naruto, dressed in a pair of green pants, a light brown shirt, and a green jacket, proceeded to make everyone's breakfast, it having been discovered that he was a rather good cook during his time in Suna, lessons pounded into him by Pakura. When it was finally time, the two children were rather surprised that Bacchus decided to accompany them, and even more so at the fact that he was completely sober. When asked, he simply said that this was too monumental an event for him to get drunk, as it was the official beginning of his first student's ninja career, though he was planning on getting as trashed as physically possible at the first opportunity, seeing as though he was already feeling the symptoms of alcohol withdrawal. When the group of 3 made it to the academy, the first thing they noticed were the sheer number of people there. In one group there was a man with long blonde hair in a ponytail standing near a girl with shoulder-length hair of the same color. The man was talking to a rather rotund couple standing with their backs to a large boy with swirl marks on his cheeks who was in turn sharing a bag of chips with a lazy-looking boy with a black ponytail, while another man with the same ponytail and scars on his face was being chewed out by what appeared to be his wife. Another group had 2 boys, one of whom had red tattoos on his face while the other had a jacket that covered most of his face, as a woman with the same tattoos and a man who also had a jacket conversed in the background. Then there were several groups that were on their own, such as a family of pinkettes talking to a timid-looking girl, a family of people in old-style robes with strange white eyes, standing behind a girl, and a very large group of people who all had black hair and eyes, most of whom were behind 4 people, one of whom looked to be about 10, give or take a year or 2, and was wearing a Chunin vest, and a boy with a rather interesting haircut, each of whom had a fan symbol somewhere upon their clothing. While none of them missed, or were surprised at the glares several people instantly leveled at Naruto, though none of the aforementioned people, except the elder pinkettes as well as a few of the white-eyed folks, and most of the ones with the fan symbol, did so, they were pleasantly surprised to see Pakura there as well. Pakura-sensei, what are you doing here? Wondered Naruto. I just wanted to see you off on your road to glory. Also, Keisuke-sama requested that I be here for Temari-san, responded the woman, who was getting some very strange looks from the civilians, and wary looks from the shinobi due to her Hite 8. Naruto, happy at the gesture, nodded, but before any more conversation could be initiated, the Hokage appeared in front of the academy, signaling the start of the ceremony. The genin hopefuls then all lined up with their parents behind them, with Bacchus standing behind Naruto, and Pakura standing behind Temari. As the Hokage began his speech about the importance of the event, his thoughts kept drifting to the hell that the council had put him through concerning Naruto and Temari. Flashback no jutsu. It was a full week after Hiruzen had returned from his trip to Suna without Naruto, and at the moment he was preparing himself for his meeting with the council. comprised of his advisors, his old genin teammates, Shimura Danzo, though it wasn't completely clear as to what he did there other than make grabs for power, the heads and heirs of the shinobi clans. The heirs had to be at least 10 or a genin to attend, as such, only the Inuzuka and the Uchiha heirs were present, and around 8 of the more prominent civilians. I suppose you were wondering as to what you are all doing here, said the Hokage, getting nods from most of the council. We are here to discuss my trip to Suna, as well as the new treaty between our countries, he explained, getting interested looks from all but Danzo. Speaking of that, Hiruzen started Danzo, before getting interrupted by Hiruzen. Excuse me? Hokage-sama, said the man, getting a nod from the aged Hokage. Speaking of your visit to Suna, Hokage-sama, might I inquire as to where the Jinchuriki is? It is my understanding that it was not with you when you returned from your journey. Naruto is currently in Suna, as per our treaty, started the old man. Before pausing to ignore the obligatory outraged exclamations. I must say, for people who don't really seem to care too much about him, you seem awfully concerned with keeping him in the village. Now, as I was saying before I was interrupted, Naruto is in Suna as per the treaty, to train for a year in the use of his Kekkei Genkai. When 1 year has passed, he will be returned here, where he and the Kasuke's daughter will be attending the academy, he explained, getting shocked looks from those assembled, and a hungry look from Danzo. Hokage-sama, may I propose no, you cannot have Naruto as a weapon, Danzo, we have been over this time and time again, you keep asking, and I keep saying no, drop, it, now, said Hiruzen, releasing chakra with the last 3 words to make sure that Danzo knew that he meant business. What exactly is the Gaki's Kekkei Genkai, Hokage-sama? Asked the only female clan head, who had frizzy brown hair, red marks on her face, and was one of the 2 with an heir attending. He has what is known as the Shikuden, a chakra-based Kekkei Genkai that is created from the mixture of Kaden, fire release, and Futon, wind release, he explained, getting interested looks from everyone. Hokage-sama, may I inquire as to why the Kasuke's daughter is coming here to enter the academy? Asked a man with black hair and eyes, the only other person who had their heir present. As per the new treaty, Naruto and the Kasuke's daughter, who is named Temari, are to be in a political marriage, and will reinstate the Uzumaki clan. What? How dare you? This is an outrage. After the shouting of the civilian side of the council started, Hiruzen simply glared at them all, in order to silence them, then asked, and what exactly is your problems with this? Hokage-sama, you can't be serious, allowing that demon a female. That girl needs to be rescued. You need to pick another suitor. What of Uchiha-sama's children? Surely they hold the best position of power for a political marriage, said one of the bolder civilians. While I am not aware of any demon that the girl would need rescuing from. Kasuke Dono specifically asked for Naruto to be the groom for this marriage after a demonstration of the Kekkei Genkai. Naruto and Temari are to attend the academy, become shinobi, and as soon as they are either both Chunin or 18, they are to be married. Should they have children, they will be given the option to become shinobi for either Konoha or Suna, repeated Hiruzen, before more outraged shouting occurred. You're letting it have a clan? Are you trying to destroy the village? You can't give the demon a clan. Then it could make laws, shouted one of the civilians, though no one could tell who it was. He is not a demon, he is a child, shouted Hiruzen, quickly losing his patience. Hiruzen, I would suggest that the Jinchuriki be placed in an artificial insemination program in order to make more Kekkei Genkai users for the village, proposed Danzo, unknowingly pushing the man known as the god of shinobi off the proverbial cliff. You're letting it breed now too. It should at least be castrated if you're not going to kill it. If you're just going to use her for breeding stock, then give her to Uchiha-sama, shouted the same bold civilian, immediately shutting up as a wave of unadulterated killing intent filled the room, showing him that the 2 had said the wrong thing. First of all, Naruto is just a child with extraordinary abilities and unfortunate circumstances, yes, but he is still just a child, he is not a demon. Second, Temari is not breeding stock, she is a human being and will be treated as such. Third, if I ever hear that from any of you, I will respond according to the law I put in place 6 years ago, threatened Hiruzen, making them all pale at the thought of execution without trial. That being said, Naruto will wed Temari, who will be attending the academy with him, as soon as both are at least Chunin or 18, and will reinstate the Uzumaki clan here in Konoha at that time. Should they choose to have children, those children shall be allowed to become Suna shinobi if they like, whether or not they have the Shikuden. Dismissed. Flashback no Jutsu Kai concluding his speech, the Hokage bid the students say their goodbyes to their parents. When that happened, both the group with the white eyes and the group with the fan symbol simply left without saying goodbye, while some, adults and children, completely broke down. Well Naruto, Temari, it's time for me to go, Temari. Because of your futon affinity, You are to report to Sarutobi Isuma after the academy ends for training. Naruto, just remember my lessons and you will be fine, but I have asked Hokage-sama to tell me if you fall behind just in case you need a refresher course, said Pakura with a smile, casing Naruto to have waking nightmares of the times when the woman had to resort to drastic measures during his training to make sure that the lesson stuck. With that, the green-haired woman bid them write her every so often, then made her way out of the village. Well, Gaki-chan, see you later, come back to the house after this crap ends, and I'll begin teaching you the next step of the chop hanging palm. Bacchus told Naruto, snapping the boy out of his horrified stupor. Really, sensei? Asked the star-struck boy. Of course, Gaki-chan, replied the man as he staggered off. After he had stumbled out of the courtyard, Naruto and Temari shared a look before they both entered the academy. For the first 2 hours of the day. Amino Iruka, a man with a scar across his nose and his brown hair in a pineapple ponytail who was their teacher, had explained the importance of the shinobi system and of their decision to attend the academy. Naruto had been tempted to simply sleep through it along with the boy who also had a pineapple-shaped ponytail in the back, but Temari kept reminding him of Pakura's warning, and making sure that he paid attention, though he already knew most of what was being said. Now that that is over, I have a few questions, then we will be going outside for the taijutsu portion of the day, explained the scarred man, getting everyone's attention. Now, who here can access chakra? He asked, getting raised hands from the boy with the fan symbol, who had been introduced as Uchiha Sasuke, the white-eyed girl, named Hyuga Hinata, Naruto, and Temari. Who here has ever used elemental chakra? He asked, not really expecting anyone to answer, so he was shocked when Sasuke, Temari, and Naruto all raised their hands. May I ask what you use? Queried Iruka, getting nods from the three. Kaden, explained Sasuke. Futon, said Temari. Futon and Kaden, the elements that make up my Kekkei Genkai. Naruto told the class, shocking everyone in the room, that he had a Kekkei Genkai, as he wasn't from any of the clans they had ever heard of. And which Kekkei Genkai would that be, Naruto? Asked Iruka, pausing to check for the boy's name. I use Shikuden, he answered, getting confused looks from everyone. What's all that? Shouted a boy with red marks on his face, who was named Kiba. Chakra is the force that allows a shinobi to be a shinobi. It is derived from physical energy, drawn from every cell in the body, and spiritual energy, gained from exercise and experience. It allows one to use various jutsu, allowing a shinobi to do things like walk on water or breath fire, explained Iruka, pausing in order to see the looks of wonder on their faces, before continuing. Elemental chakra is chakra that is attuned to one of the 5 elements. Fire, wind, lightning, earth, and water, and to have an affinity for one makes it easy for one to use that element. A Kekkei Genkai is an ability passed down from generation to generation that is impossible to naturally use if you are not of that family. These come in one of 3 types. Chakra, body, and eye. Coincidentally, does anyone else have a Kekkei Genkai here? Asked Iruka, getting raised hands from Sasuke and Hinata. Now that that's out of the way, let's go outside to evaluate your taijutsu and ninjutsu, said Iruka, as he led the way. Outside now, how many of you actually have taijutsu training? Asked the man, getting raised hands from the Sasuke, Kiba, Hinata, Temari, and Naruto. Very well, now, when I call your name, I want you to go into the ring and spar with the other person whose name I call, said Iruka, shocking them all since they didn't expect to be fighting on the first day. As the day progressed, it was mainly civilians brawling with each other, though there were a few exceptions. Shikamaru simply quit during his match with Choji, the rotund boy with the swirl marks on his face, so that they didn't have to fight each other. Temari beat the pinkette who was named Sakura with a single punch, leading her to be comforted by a blonde girl named Ino. Sasuke easily defeated his civilian opponent. Hinata beat Ino in pretty much no time flat, but kept apologizing as she did so. Then there was Naruto and Kiba's fight. At the start, Kiba immediately rushed Naruto, hoping to end the fight quickly, as Naruto simply stayed where he was, dropping into the chop hanging palm stance, bending both knees out to his sides and raising his arms like he were about to start flapping them. As Kiba reached Naruto, the redhead dodged the punch directed at him, orbiting around to Kiba's right, where he thrust his palm to the side of the boy's knee, and, while not breaking anything, causing a lot of pain, with a yell, Kiba pitched forwards into the dirt, clinging to his knee. After around 10 seconds, he got back up shakily, and approached Naruto once again, this time with a little more caution. That hurt, Teme, said the Inuzuka, getting a smirk from Naruto. It's supposed to, isn't it? Asked Naruto, causing Kiba to smirk as well. Well, if that's how you want to play, then I should hold back, now should I? With that, Naruto and Kiba stuck the pose of their respective taijutsu styles and stood there for around 30 seconds at a silent signal. They both broke into a flurry of action, with Kiba, though still in rather obvious pain from his knee, attempting to punch Naruto, but the redhead continuously dodging and blocking most of the attacks. Then, as Tattooed Boy went for a roundhouse kick with his left foot, Naruto saw his chance. Raising his right arm to take most of the blow, he used his left palm to strike his opponent's kneecap, causing Kiba to fall down again, as his knee bent too far, causing severe pain, though once again not doing anything permanent. This time, the brunette boy took around 30 seconds to recover, and when he did, his legs were trembling due to the pain he was in. Once again, Kiba went on the attack. However, this time, the pain he was in prevented him from using his legs, making him resort to only using his fists, and severely lowering his maneuverability. While he was able to get a solid blow in, his new handicap proved to be his undoing in that he began to make severe mistakes due to the pain. In an attempt at swiping Naruto with his claws, Naruto caught the limb with his left arm, shoved the heel of his right palm into the muscle directly below Kiba's sternum, knocking the wind out of him, and this time, when Kiba fell, Naruto brought one of his palms down on the back of Kiba's neck, effectively knocking him unconscious. After everyone got out of their stupor, Iruka was forced to pause class while he took Kiba to the infirmary. When he got back, he gave everyone a grade on their taijutsu, with Naruto and Sasuke tied for first, and Temari being the best kunoichi with Hinata close behind. Next, Iruka asked Naruto, Temari, Sasuke, and Hinata if they wanted to show off a jutsu or their Kekkei Genkai. With that, both Naruto and Sasuke stepped up, Hinata being too shy and Temari not actually knowing any jutsu at the moment. Sasuke, going first, quickly went through some hand signs, and with a cry of Kaden, Gokaku no Jutsu, Grand Fireball Jutsu, he spit out a ball of fire around the same size as him at one of the dummies in the training yard, destroying it, and getting adoring sighs from most of the girls there. Then, Naruto stepped up, put his palms together over his head, and then spread them out to his sides, creating 5 red-orange orbs in an arc. Beautiful was the combined thoughts of most of the class. Shikuden. Kajosatsu, Scorch Release. Extremely steaming murder, murmured Naruto. He then began to twirl them around himself in a stunning display, before he sent each of them to a separate dummy, causing a cloud of steam to appear. When it cleared, Iruka went over to one of the now emaciated dummies, and easily broke off one of its arms. And with that, Iruka let everyone leave, saying that the day was over, and that they would begin trying to unlock the rest of the students' chakra next time. With Naruto departing, Naruto headed back to his new home with Temari going to the Hokage Tower to meet up with Asuma, only to halt outside seeing that there were several unconscious people in a pile outside his house with several spray cans littered around the ground. I don't know whether to thank him or kill him, thought Naruto as he unlocked his door and stepped inside, to see Bacchus face down on the stairs with his head pointing towards the bottom, some form of liquid surrounding him on the stairs, pooling at the bottom. Kill him, Bacchus-sensei. Can you wake up? It's time to go train, Naruto told the man, trying to get him up, but not wanting to touch the mystery fluid. When that failed, Naruto sighed and braced himself for what he had to do. Hey look. It's a bunch of topless models rubbing oil on each other. Hearing that, Bacchus shot up, promptly lost his footing, and once again fell down the stairs into the liquid. Damn it, Gaki-chan, I hate it when you do that, groaned Bacchus. Sorry sensei, but it's time to begin training. You said that you'd teach me the next step of chop hanging palm. Oh yeah, I had forgotten about that, slurred the half-naked man, getting a sweat drop from Naruto, before he stared at the liquid he had been laying in. Damn, I spilled my beer. Oh well, let's go. With Temari, when Temari departed from the academy, she went straight for the Hokage's office. As she went, she noticed several people staring at her. Some in pity, some in curiosity, and some in anger. Shrugging it off as a product of who her fiancé was, she simply sped up until she entered the tower. Upon arrival, she was whisked up to Hiruzen's office to wait for Asuma by the secretary. Ah, Temari-chan. How are you? Asked the Hokage upon seeing her enter her office. I am fine, Hokage-sama, answered Temari, nervous at being alone with such an important and influential man. I am aware that it has been less than one day, but I trust you are settling in comfortably? Hi, Hokage-sama, I was a little uncomfortable at first, but then Naruto told me that we were not alone, that we still had family and friends. Upon hearing that, Hiruzen was rather surprised at the emotional depth that Naruto seemed to have. Then again, Kushina always hit the nail on the head and he has her personality. Oh shit. Does that mean I am going to have to go through the pranking hell she put me through again? Damn it. I still can't look at a lava lamp without bursting into tears. Unaware of the inner turmoil going on in the monk's head, She curiously watched his facial expression change from happy and relaxed, to realization, to horror, before he started crying, but before she could ask what was wrong, she heard the secretary trying to keep someone out of the room. "OT, go in right now. Hokage-sama has asked not to be disturbed as he is in a meeting and awaiting the return of a shinobi for a mission briefing. Sir. I can't let you in, sir. Sir. Stop. Hammer time. Wait, what? Who said that? Oh crap, sir." With that, the door burst open, revealing a man with shaggy black hair, an X-shaped scar on his chin, bandages covering his right eye, a cane, and what appeared to be a missing or useless right arm, if the fact that his robe left no opening for it were anything to go by. "I specifically asked not to be disturbed, Danzo. Now what is it that you need?" "My apologies, Hokage-sama. I simply wished to meet with Konoha's newest asset," responded Danzo, staring at Temari, making her feel like a mouse trapped between the paws of a rather sadistic cat. "If that is all, then please leave. I am expecting Asuma to return from a mission, and he is to be her teacher," said Hiruzen. Danzo then glanced at Hiruzen, then looked at Temari, before telling her, "I look forward to seeing how you affect this village, Temari-san," before leaving, making Temari exhale a breath that she didn't know she was holding. With Naruto, at the training ground, the first thing that Naruto noticed were several training dummies, one of which had a piece of cloth nailed to it with a kunai. "Now, review what I've taught you, Naruto," commanded Bacchus, though Naruto was pretty sure his alcohol-soaked brain had simply forgotten. "You have taught me how to harden the palms and heels of my hands in order to not hurt myself hitting objects. You taught me how and where to strike to cause the most damage. You taught me how to focus chakra into my palms to increase the power of my strikes. And you taught me the wall walking and kunai balancing chakra control exercises. Oh. And you gave me these weights," reviewed the boy, showing Bacchus the bands on his forearms that his teachers had given him when they noticed that he was both stronger than most his age as well as healed quicker. 2. Getting a nod from the man. "How much weight are on them?" 30 pounds each, Naruto told him. "You bastard," thought the boy with a smile, slightly pissed at the hell his senseis put him through in the name of making him stronger. "Alright. Now, the next step of the chop hanging palm is to use your elemental chakra instead of regular chakra. Watch," stated Bacchus, before hitting one of the training dummies next to the one with the cloth pinned to it, causing electrical burns to spread over the surface. "And the step after that is this," he continued, smacking the dummy with the cloth on it, though nothing seemed to happen, but before Naruto could comment on this, Bacchus lifted up the bottom of the cloth to reveal that the wood once again had electrical burns. "The final step is to, for lack of a better word, inject your chakra into your target," he finished, getting a confused look from Naruto. "Why bother? Why not just use the effects of simply coating your hand in chakra?" asked Naruto, getting an understanding nod from his sensei. "Two simple reasons, Gaki-chan. The first is that only Raiden, Kaden, and Futon are effective using that method. Nothing's really going to happen with Suiten, water release. And all that would happen with Doden, earth release, is that it would make it like you're wearing gauntlets or something. For the truly devastating effects of this style, you must inject your chakra into the victim. The second reason is probably the most important for shinobi, and that reason is assassination. Why fight your target when you could simply pat him on the back at a simple social function where you would be in disguise? Or maybe you could take out a guard at an enemy camp. This way, there's no outside trauma to suggest that there's something wrong, and when they do die, it can't really be traced to you," explained Bacchus, getting a nod from Naruto. "Now, I want you to use your Kaden to strike one of the dummies. I don't feel like taking you to get your hand reattached should you mess up. You should start with a low amount of chakra," finished Bacchus, getting a nod from the boy. While it would normally take months or even years to master elemental chakra, apparently, Naruto's Kekkei Genkai made it easier for Naruto to use Futon and Kaden, as well as the extensive chakra control exercises that both his senseis had been drilling into him, allowing him to, when in Suna, to cut a small stone or turn small amounts of sand into glass. 3. Using his experience, he coated his hands in chakra. Before turning that chakra into Kaden chakra, noticing that he felt nothing other than a small amount of warmth, he glanced at his sensei, thinking that it didn't seem too hard. Turning to one of the uncovered dummies, he took up his taijutsu stance, before striking the log with one of his burning palms. However, being new to the technique, his concentration wavered, causing the flames to burn both him and the log, forcing Naruto to cancel his chakra flow out of reflex. "And that's why you want use Futon for a while, Gaki-chan. I want you to continue to strike the log for a few hours, and when I come back, I'll show you some more chakra control exercises," Bacchus told him, before turning around and walking away. With Temari, after Asuma got back from his completed bandit removal mission, he took Temari to a training ground that looked more like a shooting range, not that they'd know what that is though. "Now Temari-san, tell me, how far are you on your Futon training?" asked Asuma, getting a slightly confused look from Temari. I can almost cut a rock, but I don't know what that means here, she told him, getting an understanding nod from Asuma. Okay. Then I want you to try to cut a leaf in half, Asuma told her, to which she nodded, picked up a fallen leaf, and concentrated. When she pulled her hand away, the leaf was cut around 4/5 of the way through, and Asuma was surprised. How is she doing that at her age? She must have been practicing herself into exhaustion every day. Very good, continue doing that until I say so. If you need advice, tell me, I'll be more than happy to help. With that, Temari continued to use her futon, trying to completely cut the leaf, Asuma occasionally throwing her advice. With Naruto, 4 hours had passed as Naruto continued to strike the log, burning himself less and less, and every time he went a minute without hurting himself, he would raise the amount of chakra in his palms, before resuming his exercise, occasionally switching to a new dummy when war won out. When that 4 hours was up, Naruto noticed the heavy smell of alcohol getting closer, struck the dummy he was currently on one last time with each palm, and then turned to his teacher. That's good, Gaki-chan. Now, follow me, Bacchus said, eyeing the 7 or so destroyed dummies before leading Naruto to a river. I've taught you how to walk on walls and how to balance kunai, though you're not very good at it. What you may not know is that we skipped a step, water walking. It's different from tree walking in that instead of a constant flow, you have to keep changing your chakra output. Now you try, finished the drunk, before he started walking onto the river. But before he did so, Naruto couldn't help but ask, why did you skip this? Because, Gaki-chan, only registered Suna shinobi are allowed near any water source of real size. Now get to it. With that, Naruto placed one of his feet onto the surface of the water, allowing his chakra to flow. When it felt like he was on the ground, he put his weight on it, and surprisingly, it held. Emboldened by his success, he quickly placed his other foot on the water, and promptly fell in. You lost focus, Gaki-chan. When you have enough experience, you'll be able to do this without thinking, but until then, no. So, Naruto and Bacchus continued his water walking training, and when Naruto got the hang of standing, Bacchus made him walk. When he got the hang of walking, Bacchus made him run. When he got the hang of running, they sparred, though they only did so for about 10 minutes, and Naruto fell in, a lot. After that, they went back to the house, and exhausted Temari meeting them there. Naruto then made dinner for them all. The Hokage had forbidden him from eating ramen more than once a day, and had had it for lunch at the academy. He then began to read the academy material for a while, before falling asleep with Temari to get ready for the next day. It was the day before the end of the academy year, and quite a few things had happened. Naruto mastering Kaden chop hanging palm to an acceptable degree, Temari fully cutting the leaf and moving on to a tree, Naruto training with his fuinjutsu, which he was remarkably good at, Temari learning wall walking from Naruto, etc., etc. But there were some that were rather noteworthy, the first of which being Naruto's birthday. Over the course of the morning, Naruto and Temari sparred and compared notes on elemental chakra. Then the Hokage and Inu showed up, surprising Naruto since he hadn't seen the Anbu since Suna. The 5 of them had a nice lunch before some of Naruto's friends from the academy, Shikamaru, Shoji, and Kiba, arrived. He was kind of sad Sasuke hadn't shown up, but he wasn't surprised considering that Sasuke's dad didn't really like Naruto, probably because of the Kyuubi. After several hours of nothing but horsing around and conversation, the Hokage took everyone to Ichiraku's. After a grand total of 76 bowls of ramen, it was time for cake, chocolate, and presents. Naruto loved his gifts, a fuinjutsu book from Hiruzen. He also had a wind jutsu scroll from Asuma. But the man was on a mission, a couple of fire jutsu scrolls from Inu. A pair of chakra conducting metal gauntlets that could fit over his weights, now up to 40 each, from Pakura, who couldn't be there. Though she did send a card. Gaara sent Naruto his teddy bear, a promise to teach the next stage in chakra control, where instead of balancing kunai on your palms, you do a handstand on the kunai points. The next day from Bacchus, Shoji gave him a coupon that would give him half off the final price of a meal at any Akamichi restaurant. Shikamaru and Kiba each gave him a set of kunai and shuriken, and the Ichirakus gave him a few sets of shinobi clothing. But Temari's gift, in his opinion, was one of the best, a kiss on the cheek, and a free meal ticket to Ichiraku's. Then, it was time for final goodbyes, and then everyone left. When the night came, and Naruto and Temari went to bed, Naruto reflected on the fact that this day was the happiest of his life, and he smiled knowing that things were only going to get better. Fast forward to January 23rd, 4. Naruto and Temari were pretty much dominating the academy, mostly because of how easy it was. Naruto still being the best in the class, which infuriated almost everyone in Konoha since he was ahead of the Uchiha. and Temari being the best of the kunoichi, as well as being one of the top 5 students in the class. Able to take on every other kunoichi in their class without hassle, except for Hinata. But that goes without saying due to the fact that Temari is a long-range specialist. And Hinata is more close-up like the rest of her clan. Though she could beat Hinata, Naruto could stay on the kunai for around 10 minutes. Though he had lost a lot of blood over the months, especially in the beginning, by impaling himself, and could almost attack through the cloth without leaving a mark with his Kaden chakra, though he had yet to start using his futon with his taijutsu, Temari had started learning futon techniques using the iron fan given to her when she found her affinity, and could almost cut through the leaf, but that's not important at the moment. What is important is that it was Temari's birthday. Like with Naruto's birthday, during the morning, Naruto and Temari simply sparred, though they were more skilled than they were, and compared jutsu. Then after lunch the guests arrived. Among the list were the Hokage, several of the class kunoichi including Sakura and Ino, a lot of whom invited themselves. Though Hinata didn't show up because of her father, Shikamaru. She was the only one besides his father that had ever beaten him at shogi, shogi, and asuna. From all the girls, she got clothing, a shogi board from Shikamaru, a few jutsu from Asuma, a set of kunai and shuriken from Hiruzen, and a copy of the ticket he gave Naruto from Choji. From her family, she received a glass sculpture from Gaara and Yashimaru, a book on proper female etiquette from Konkuro, which she immediately destroyed along with the rather sarcastic note that came along with it, an actual battle fan from Pakura, and the weasel summoning contract from her father. But, like with Naruto, her favorite gift was from her fiancé. When she opened the box he brought her, her first thought was a pair of fans. And indeed they were, but just not any pair of fans, no, these were Tessin. 2 regular-sized folding fans made entirely out of metal, unlike her regular-sized fan. Where only the ribs were metal and the leaves were chakra-conducting wood, that extra dark shade of steely gray that came with chakra-conducting metal, the leaves painted over with a beautiful dark red, the subtle nuances of the coloring making it appear as cloth. At this point in time, they were dull, allowing her to either sharpen them regularly, or use her wind chakra to do so for her. 5. She once again gave him a kiss on the cheek, and then it was time for them to once again go home. Fast forward once again to midnight around a month before the end of their first school year, and a shadow is seen sneaking out of a window in the Uzumaki household. "Going somewhere, sensei?" asked a voice, before a light turned on, revealing Naruto in a swivel chair, petting a cat, and Bacchus, who was half out of the window. "Yeah, Gaki-chan, I am leaving. Where did you get that cat anyways?" wondered Bacchus, slightly confused at the whole deal. "I don't know, I found it hiding in the cabinet under the sink earlier today, and since I sometimes see him getting chased by genin teams, so I just thought he might need a place to stay for the night." Anyways, why are you leaving?" asked Naruto, getting another sigh from Bacchus, as he climbed back inside. "I am leaving because I have no reason to stay, Gaki-chan," the man told him, before holding up a hand to stall anything Naruto may have had to say. "I taught you all I could. You can use Kaden chakra in battle now. All you need is practice, and you don't need me for futon, because you're better with that anyways. The only reason I've stayed this long is to teach you. I am sorry, but I can't stay tied down to one place, it's just not in my nature. Plus I haven't gotten laid in a year, you little bastard." "I understand, sensei, thank you for everything, and I hope you have a good life," Naruto told the man solemnly, getting up and hugging him. At that, Bacchus hugged Naruto as well, before bursting into tears and squeezing the life out of him. "I am gonna miss you, Gaki-chan," he shouted, before releasing Naruto, who fell gasping to the floor. "I am gonna miss you, too, sensei," Naruto said in between breaths. Bacchus then had the most serious face Naruto had ever seen on him, grabbed Naruto's hand, and shook it. "It's been nice, Naruto, make sure you teach the world to fear Chop Hanging Palm," said Bacchus, shocking Naruto that he actually called him by name, that the boy barely noticed the man jump out the window. Why didn't he just use the door? It was nearing the final days of the academy, and Naruto had decided to try the test to see if he could become a genin. Temari not wanting to, not thinking she had the skills as of yet, and wanting to get Hinata to come out of her shell. It started rather boringly, with a test with all the other genin hopefuls, most of whom stared at Naruto with surprise at first, since they were all either in their final year or had 1 year left. Then it was off to the taijutsu ring as the papers were graded. In this test, each student had to spar with one of the chunin teachers for either 5 minutes, or until they landed a solid blow. Naruto started off facing off against a rather large man named Funeno Dekoku, a rather large man with a diamond-shaped goatee. This fight ended when Naruto was able to hit Daikoku in the solar plexus after about 4 minutes. Then, the results of the test were announced with Naruto being placed 10th. Finally, it was back into the academy for the last test. The students were called back into the classroom one by one, some coming out with looks of pride and a headband, and some with looks of disappointment. When it was finally Naruto's turn, it turned out to be just Iruka behind his desk, facing the large open area at the front. Now, I want you to do the Academy 3 Jutsu, Naruto. If you do, you'll be an official genin, Iruka told the boy, getting a nod. To be. No, I am just yanking your chain. Now, I want you to do the Academy 3 Jutsu, Naruto. If you do, you'll be an official genin, Iruka told the boy, getting a nod. Naruto then placed his hands in the ram symbol, before shouting, Henge, transformation. He then exploded in a cloud of smoke that cleared to reveal Bacchus, drunken grin and everything, before he poofed back into Naruto. Naruto then put his hands in the snake symbol. He was then once again disappeared in a cloud of smoke, before he was replaced by a chair showing a successful Kawarimi substitution, before reappearing and putting it back. That's good, Naruto. Now, make 3 clones, and you'll pass. At this point, Naruto was rather nervous, as it was rather difficult for him to do, with his reserves, though his almost perfect chakra control from his training slightly allayed his fears. Placing his hands in the tiger seal, he shouted, Bunshin no Jutsu, clone technique, before he was enveloped in smoke, and when it cleared, there were 5 Narutos. He'll have to knock off points for the extra clone, but that was very good. Congratulations, Naruto, you're a shinobi. One of the youngest ever in peacetime if I am not mistaken. Now, take a headband, and report back to the academy on Saturday for team assignments. With that, Naruto left the room, much to the astonishment of the others, went home, and celebrated with Temari, Hiruzen, and the Ichirakus, but not Inu, as he was on a mission and not expected to return for a couple of months. And that's that. I had wanted to post this before the 5th, but fanfiction lost a lot of my progress. I know I didn't say anything about it, but Naruto did practice his Fuinjutsu over the year. If you're wondering, this is only the 1st or 2nd year that Iruka is teaching. Before anyone says anything about everyone being OOC, this is the 1st year of the academy. Sakura and Ino haven't had their fight, Kiba hasn't received Akamaru, and the Uchiha clan massacre hasn't happened. The Hyuga incident has happened though, because that happened when everyone was 3 years ago in this story. So no, Naruto will not be saving Hinata. And yes, Naruto is kind of overpowered, deal with it. New poll up in my profile. The top 3 will be the next stories that I'll update. Start. The basic description of all my stories are on my profile under current story, IEs. And story, IEs, coming out whenever the hell I felt like it. Omake, those can't be real. It was close to 2 o'clock about 10 days after Naruto had first met come to Suna, and Naruto was passed out on the floor in the middle of the Kage's mansion, sleeping off a ramen-induced coma. Temari, being the nice person that she was, decided to give Naruto a blanket just in case he got cold. Temari had originally hoped to simply give the boy the blanket and then go back to her studies, but fate it seemed had other plans, as she found herself drawn to the whiskers on his face. Those have to be tattoos, there's no way those are birthmarks. She paused, considering her options. This would probably be the only opportunity to find out for sure. In the end, temptation and curiosity won out over common sense. Reaching out slowly, she gently rubbed the tip of a finger along one of the lines. She was surprised to find that it was slightly grooved and indeed a part of Naruto's face. She nearly jumped out of her skin though when she heard a sudden low growling noise. It was only when Naruto unconsciously started trying to rub his face into her finger she located the source. Is he? No, he couldn't be, she thought as she gently ran her finger along his whisker again, only for the growling to once again occur. She almost burst out laughing. The blonde boy was purring from having his whiskers rubbed. Getting her giggling under control with some difficulty, she began to drape the blanket over him, before pausing and looking at him. Just once more, it's too funny not to, she thought as she rubbed his face once more. And then Lady Luck decided the young girl's luck had run out. For as Temari turned and began to leave, the blonde rolled over onto his side swinging an arm. Temari was suddenly knocked off balance and found herself held rather tightly in the sleeping blonde's vice-like grip. Laying there face to face with the whiskered blonde boy, Temari realized she was screwed and it was her own fault. Carefully pulling the blanket over the two of them so as not to wake Naruto up accidentally, Temari chose to go to sleep as well and await the awkward wake-up that would undoubtedly follow. She found it strange, however, as she slowly started to drift off, that she felt so much more comfortable in the arms of this boy she barely knew than most other points in her life. Her last thoughts before she drifted off to sleep were, "It's nice." About 4 hours later, Naruto began to awake to a warm feeling and the rather pleasant smell of vanilla. Looking at the clock on the wall, Naruto noticed how late it was and decided to get up and get ready for the Hokage to take him back to the hotel, but found he was unable to move his left arm. Turning his head, he saw the reason why, which nearly caused him to burst into a full-on panic attack, screaming and everything, as he saw Temari laying fast asleep atop his arm. Slowly, ever so slowly, Naruto began to slide his arm out from underneath her torso. "Please don't wake up, please don't wake up, please don't wake up," he repeated over and over again in his head, not wanting to be himself right then, given his past experiences where had seen men accidentally groping women, or where they'd just been in the wrong place at the wrong time and were assumed to be a pervert. Women would generally then proceed to beat the crap out of the man, leaving them a bloody, broken mess. He had gotten his arm free and was slowly sliding his hand out from under the sleeping girl when his life was made rather difficult. He suddenly heard the faint echoes of someone opening the front door, which caused him to flinch. His mistake ended up costing him dearly. Temari started to shift in her sleep, freeing up the blonde's hand enough to try and pull it away quickly, which he attempted only to be caught in the metaphorical jaws of the trap had unknowingly created earlier. His movement caused Temari grab his arm at the elbow as she proceeded to snuggle up against him. He panicked a little, causing himself to struggle and free arm. This only made things worse for the poor blonde, however, as during the struggle Temari, who was amazingly still asleep, had snuggled up closer to him. She now had one leg bent at the knee, draped over his waist. Meanwhile she had pressed her chest against his side, her left arm going across his chest, gripping him tightly. She had somehow gotten her right arm under his left armpit, going up across his back to grab his right shoulder. The only thing that made Naruto's situation worse at this point was that the girl was now resting her head on his chest. A pleased smile formed on her face as she mumbled something along the lines of "comfy." Poor Naruto didn't have time to even run either, as the cage just then walked into the room to see the pair. He didn't say anything, just making gold particles start to hover in the air before he started walking forward, eyes masked in shadows. The unfortunate blonde shinobi was crying anime tears as the cage stood above him. He vaguely realized the smell of vanilla had been coming from Temari as the attack commenced, but at least he got to have a brief nap, not to mention a cuddle, before he died. Nothing happened, she just moved a lot while she slept. 2. Think Lee's leg weights, but covering someone's forearm instead of their calf. 3. They were in Suna, no leaves to be had, so they had to use something else for elemental manipulation. 4. Just a random date, since I don't know Temari's actual birthday. 5. If you're asking how he paid for them, the Hokage now has an IOU from Naruto. With that, Naruto left the room, much to the astonishment of the others, went home, and celebrated with Temari, Hiruzen, and the Ichirakus, but not Inu, as he was on a mission and not expected to return for a couple of months. This is an outrage, screamed a rather fat merchant, as the rest of the civilian council members shouted their agreement. And what exactly, pray tell, is an outrage? Asked a bored Hiruzen. There is no way that demon could have passed in a single year. It must have influenced the instructors in some way. I demand you revoke its license and forbid it from being a shinobi, shouted a woman who was in charge of a very wealthy set of hotels in the village. I will do no such thing. Naruto took the same test as everybody else and passed, therefore he has become a shinobi for Konoha. But before anyone else could make an opposing statement, a rather quiet voice spoke out. Hokage-sama, may I offer a suggestion? Asked someone none were expecting, Uchiha Itachi. Very well, Itachi-san, what is it? Inquired Hiruzen, ignoring Fugaku's scandalized face. 1. And thinking that this was going to be interesting. Why not have Naruto-kun retake the test, with an Uchiha and or Hyuga watching to assure that there is no form of cheating, proposed Itachi, getting interested looks from the council, and an approving nod from the Hokage. That is a very good idea, Itachi-san, and since you were the one to propose it, you may be the Uchiha to monitor the test. Hiyashi-san, who would you have watch over Naruto-kun? Hiruzen said to the stunned Uchiha heir, before turning to the Hyuga clan head. I will be more than enough, Hokage-sama, replied the white-eyed man, knowing that he couldn't really know if the test would be fair or not if it wasn't him. 2. Very well, in 2 days' time, Naruto will retake the Genin test, with Itachi-san and Hiyashi-san attending to make sure that Naruto neither cheats nor is hampered during the test to show that he did in fact not influence the exam taker. Hiruzen told the assembled people, getting nods from most, scowls from several, and uncaring looks from the rest. Naruto's home 30 minutes later. It was a peaceful afternoon in the Uzumaki household, now that Bacchus wasn't drunkenly snoring on the couch, or doing some other activity that only an alcoholic would necessarily partake in, and the two blondes were once again taking full advantage of the fact, and were simply sitting in the living room, Naruto reading a book on Fuinjutsu, and Temari reading a jutsu scroll. As they were sitting there, an Anbu member tapped on the window, shocking the two, before Naruto got up and answered. "Does Gigi want something, Anbu-san?" asked Naruto, getting a sweat drop from both the Anbu member and Temari, who still couldn't really believe how Naruto addressed the Hokage. "Yes, Hokage-sama wishes me to inform you that you are required to appear at the academy the day after tomorrow at noon to retake the Genin test," said the Anbu, before disappearing in a cloud of smoke, sparing themselves from hearing Temari's outraged outburst. "What? How could they make you retake the test? Do they think you cheated? I bet this is because you're a Jinchuriki," expressed the outraged Temari, hating the prejudice that Naruto and Gaara had to suffer through. "Temari-chan, it's okay. I'll just show up, retake the test, and stay a genin, simple as that," replied Naruto, trying to calm the irate blonde girl. "Fine, Naruto-kun, but you know it's not fair," she told him, getting a nod for an answer, effectively ending the conversation, before they both went back to what they were doing. Academy Day of Retest. "Hello, Naruto-kun," said Itachi, as Naruto walked into the classroom, to see Itachi, Hiyashi, Hiruzen, Iruka, and some civilians who looked like they just took a whiff of crap. "Hello," responded Naruto, not knowing who this person actually was. "Bow down to Uchiha-sama, demon," shouted one of the civilians, before shutting up at the glare from the Hokage. "The only reason I am doing this is due to your bitching, Naruto. I'd like you to meet Uchiha Itachi. He is Sasuke's older brother. Now, Iruka-san, please begin the test. Itachi-kun, Hiyashi-san, please activate your dojutsu," said the elderly man, before everything started. When Naruto was finished, the boy was to fight Daikoku again, but it was at this point that Itachi spoke up. "Pardon me, Hokage-sama, but I don't want to use my Sharingan here without permission from both Naruto-kun and Daikoku-san." "I don't mind, Itachi-kun. I am just using the standard style taught in the academy," Daikoku told Itachi, getting a nod, before the shinobi turned to Naruto, who thought about it for a second, the class having been taught about all of Konoha's Kekkei Genkai, before he shook his head. "I am sorry, but I don't feel comfortable with Itachi-san learning the chop hanging palm," said Naruto. "Very well, Naruto-kun. Hiyashi-san's Byakugan should be more than enough for this part of the exam," said Itachi, making the other shinobi nod, while the civilians were grumbling something along the lines of "who cares if Uchiha-sama copies the demon's moves." Itachi then went back inside with a few civilians in order to supervise Iruka grading Naruto's test, and to make sure the demon didn't influence the man. At the start of the match, Daikoku rushed Naruto at low Chunin speeds, and threw a punch at Naruto's chest, which Naruto slapped aside and responded with a right palm thrust aimed at the man's stomach, which was dodged. The man then grabbed Naruto's wrist with his left hand and attempted to punch the boy with his other hand, which Naruto dodged by tilting his head to the left. Naruto then used thrust his left palm, aiming once more for the larger person's stomach. Daikoku immediately released the boy, and jumped back, dodging the blow. The two then closed upon one another again and began to attack each other, dodging, blocking, and parrying the other's blows. After trading blows for a bit, the two broke apart, and began to circle each other, looking for an opening. Finally, at an unknown signal, Daikoku closed the distance again, this time beginning his offensive with a roundhouse left, which Naruto ducked under, before the boy attempted to strike the man's left knee. Seeing what Naruto was doing, his opponent jumped out of the way, but because he was only standing on one leg at the time, he landed rather awkwardly, as the man was trying to regain his balance. Naruto rushed his opponent, and, again, attempted to hit him in the knee while he was off balance. Seeing this, Daikoku tried to dodge again, but was unable to keep his balance, and fell onto his back. When he hit the ground, he closed his eyes and prepared himself for the blow. As he felt a small breeze cross his face, he realized that Naruto must have stopped his attack close to his face, as the Hokage declared Naruto the winner. 4 minutes and 12 seconds, 10 seconds better than last time. Good job, Naruto. Daikoku told the red-headed boy, getting a smile. Thank you, sensei, responded Naruto. The group of the Hyuga, the Hokage, the child, and the civilians then went back inside for the final part of the exam. Alright Naruto, I want you to know that you scored the same as you did last time. Now, I want you to do the Academy 3 Jutsu, Naruto. If you do, you'll be an official genin, Iruka told the boy, getting a nod. Naruto then placed his hands in the ram symbol, before shouting, Henge, transformation. He then exploded in a cloud of smoke that cleared to reveal a perfect copy of Inu, as Naruto last remembered seeing him, before he poofed back into Naruto. Naruto then put his hands in the snake symbol. He was then once again disappeared in a cloud of smoke, before he was replaced by a chair showing a successful Kawarimi substitution, before reappearing and putting it back. That's good Naruto, now, make 3 clones, and you'll pass. At this point, Naruto was, again, rather nervous, as this was his worst technique, and the civilians would look for any excuse to deny him his Hite 8. Placing his hands in the tiger seal, he shouted, Bunshin no Jutsu, clone technique, before he was enveloped in smoke, and when it cleared, there were, once again, 5 Narutos. Huh. Look at that. The demon can't even make a clone right, shouted a civilian, to which the others laughed, and though Naruto expected something like that, it still hurt. The group then waited for 5 minutes as Iruka tallied Naruto's total score. Well Naruto, you did do better than last time, but it wasn't enough to go up in rankings, so you're still 10th in the class, said the scarred Chunin, getting smiles from Naruto and the Hokage, and frowns from the civilians. That being said, you may take your Hite 8 back, and you are to meet up with your team in 4 days in classroom 110, 4. Team placement. Did you hear? There's a kid who graduated after a single year. Who do you think it is? I bet it's an Uchiha, or a Hyuga. They probably think they're better than us, Temari. Naruto stood there, outside of the room, just listening to the conversations inside. He then took a deep breath and stepped inside. Silence. Silence reigned supreme within the room as immediately, every eye in the room locked onto him, judging him. Nervously, he smiled, and waved, to which some smiled back, some frowned, but most simply continued their conversations. Settle down, Iruka told the class as he walked in too. Sitting down at his desk, he opened his mouth, no doubt to make a speech that all academy teachers give, but he then closed it. Frowning a little, he began to speak. Normally, I am supposed to tell you that you've done a job well done. And that I am proud of you, but know this, most of you are going to die within the next 10 years. A lot as a genin. For you kunoichi, I recommend suicide if captured, as you might be used for entertainment if you don't. Some of you will not be able to cope with the lifestyle and quit, maybe even commit suicide, and a few will simply fade into obscurity, but for those who truly excel, you will become the elite, and your name will go down in history. With that, Iruka began reading off the team placements, which Naruto mostly ignored until he heard his name. Team 14 will be Munio, Inuzuka Hana, and Uzumaki Naruto. Your sensei will be, blink, rub eyes, blink again, Uchiha Mikoto, said Iruka, getting a shocked look from the 3. Team 15 will be. After the assignments had been announced, Team 14 got up and moved together to introduce themselves. So you're the Gaki that passed early, huh? Asked Hana, a girl who was around 5 feet tall, with long, straight brown hair, elongated canines, a red tattoo on each cheek, and large, black eyes, who had a rather feral grin, as Munio, a boy who was much taller than any of the other genin hopefuls, 5'8", incredibly skinny, and who had a rather round face, dark blue hair that was so short it was almost non-existent, and a circular scar on his left temple, began to eat a bento. Why yeah, do you started Naruto, before he was glomped by a trio of gray blurs, revealing themselves to be 3 small dogs, all of whom were licking his face, getting a surprised look from Hana. Wow, you must be really good with animals. They've never liked someone who wasn't an Inuzuka so quickly before, she commented, before asking, were you going to ask something? Yeah, that tickles. Do you know someone named Kiba? He inquired, still getting mauled by the 3 dogs. Yeah I do, he's my little brother. Do you know the runt? She responded, getting a nod from Naruto. He was a part of my class, can you get them off of me? Sure, sharp whistle down, she said firmly, to which they all got off of Naruto and sat at Hana's feet. These are the Haimaru brothers, Kagawa, Ashi, and Juka. 6. What's he like in class? He wouldn't shut up about something about an alpha, Naruto told the girl, getting a snort of derision. That sounds about right. I am Hana by the way, said the Inuzuka. I am Naruto, I am Munio, said the almost forgotten boy, getting sheepish looks from the other two. So what can you guys do? I can use a few elemental jutsu, a special type of taijutsu, fuinjutsu, and I have low Jonin chakra levels as well as a Kekkei Genkai. I cannot use Genjutsu, but I can dispel up to B level 1s, 5, Naruto told them, getting shocked looks from his teammates. Wow, no wonder you graduated early, remarked Hana, getting an agreeing nod from Munio. To be honest, I wouldn't be even close to this if I hadn't gone to Suna with Gigi. Naruto told the two of them, to which they responded with a confused look. Hokage Gigi, he clarified. Hokage-sama is your Gigi? Asked Munio, who had to actively force himself not to shout. Not really, but he's been like one to me for as long as I can remember, and he doesn't mind, so I call him Gigi, explained the redhead. Wow, said the brunette to himself, before he shook himself out of it. I can use the basic Academy 3 and the Academy Taijutsu, but I am also pretty good with a sword. Academy 3 and clan techniques, said Hana, before the three began comparing techniques. Finally, after half an hour, during which half of the teams were collected, a rather pretty woman with long, straight black hair, black eyes, baggy black pants, a long-sleeved dark blue shirt, and the standard Jonin flak jacket walked into the room, and called to the three of them, Team 14, I am Uchiha Makoto, please follow me up to the roof, before leaving. On the roof, Makoto spent a minute just staring at the three of them, especially Naruto, just thinking back to when she got the team. Flashback no jutsu. Thank you all for coming. It is time once again for Genin team placements. Before we start, is there anyone who wishes for a specific team, or to have an apprentice? Asked the Hokage to the room filled with Jonin who wished to be senseis, some of which were surprising, none more so than the first person to speak. I would like whichever team Uzumaki Naruto is on, Hokage-sama, said Uchiha Makoto, whispers breaking out after she did so. The wife of the clan head wanted to teach the demon? Was nothing sacred anymore? I am sorry Makoto-san, but are you sure that you can be a Jonin sensei? You have been off the active duty rosters for over 10 years, would you be able to protect the children should something untoward should happen? Inquired the Hokage, bringing up a good point, to which she couldn't really fault him. I am certain, Hokage-sama, I haven't just been standing at a stove for the last decade. Forgive me, Hokage-sama, but are you really considering allowing the demon spawn to be taught by Uchiha-sama? Inquired one of the new Jonin, getting a glare from Hiruzen. If Makoto-san wishes to teach and she is able, then she may teach whoever she wishes, the aged man told the Jonin. Yes, Hokage-sama, said the man, anyways, if you are certain, Uchiha Makoto, you are now Jonin sensei to Genin Team 14. I do wish to speak with you after the meeting, however. Understood. Hokage-sama, after the meeting what is it you wish to speak of, Hokage-sama? Inquired Makoto after the last person left. I was just wondering why you wished to be a sensei after so long off the duty roster. Kushina, with that one simple word, Hiruzen completely understood. The two women had been nigh inseparable during their academy years, and had remained good friends afterwards. Makoto remembered going ballistic after she got back from a mission to find out that Kumo had tried to kidnap Kushina. The Uchiha matriarch had even gone so far as to terrify Minato the worst he had ever been in his life when he and the redhead had started dating. It had been so bad that until the day he died, asking what was said was enough to make the blonde Hokage assume the fetal position. In fact, Kushina had actually been the godmother to Itachi and Sasuke, and while Makoto was supposed to be Naruto's godmother, they hadn't been able to complete the paperwork as well as the fact that Fugaku wasn't really the biggest fan of either of Naruto's parents. To become the sensei to the son of the person she still considered her best friend was the least that Makoto could do. I see, but, for me to be completely convinced you're up to standards, I want you to retake the Jonin qualification exam before the first C rank you take with your team. Very well, Hokage-sama, dismissed. Flashback no Jutsu Kai. Returning from her trip down memory lane, Makoto blinked a few times, before introducing herself. Hello, my name is Uchiha Makoto. You may know me as the Uchiha clan head's wife. You, however, will call me Makoto-sensei. Now, I am aware that two of you are clan heirs? She asked, getting nods from Naruto and Hana, while Munio simply looked bored. Hi, Makoto-sensei. I am Inuzuka Hana, and these are the Haimaru siblings, Kagawa, Ashi, and Juka, the tattooed girl introduced, while the three gray and brown pups stared at the Uchiha, sizing the woman up. Hello, Makoto-sensei, nice to meet you, I am Uzumaki Naruto, Naruto told her, to which she had to suppress a smile for. Hi, I am Munio, said the brunette, Makoto nodding. Now, while you may think you are Genin, you haven't yet earned the right. My job is to test you one last time in order to see whether you should go back to the academy or not. Meet me at Training Ground 27 tomorrow at 9 a.m. Just so you know, this test has a 66% rate of failure. Dismissed. With that, the Uchiha left in a shunshin, ignoring the shocked looks on the three's faces. Wait, did that just happen? Asked Munio, getting a nod from Naruto, as the brunette female fumed where she sat until she just couldn't hold it anymore. Damn it! She screamed, prompting Naruto, Munio, and the three pups to try and hide behind one another, resulting in a rather hilarious loop, where the one in the front of the line ran to the back. Come on! We're going to train until we know each other's moves, shouted Hana, the five males nodding, not wanting to further enrage the Inuzuka. After a full day of training, the new team was sitting at Ichiraku's ramen, all three bruised and scuffed from trying to figure out how to work together to pass whatever test they had tomorrow, or work against one another should the test call for it. Nay, Naruto-san, would you mind my asking why it is that you passed so early instead of with people your own age? Asked Munio, as this had been bothering him most of the day. Are you trying to call me incompetent? Asked Naruto, misunderstanding the question. Of course not. I asked why, not how, Munio clarified, clearing Naruto's confusion. If you waited, you would no doubt be even better than you are now, and therefore make Rookie of the Year. Then there's the fact that now that you've graduated, you won't spend enough time with people your own age, and that might make things difficult in some way later on in life. I am wondering, why go through all the trouble and hassle to become a ninja so soon? Are you trying to prove something? Are you saying that you're better than us? Are your reasons your own? Why not slow down and enjoy life while it lasts? Wondered the tall boy. Hana, Tucci, and Ayame listened intently in, wanting to know his answer. But what was his answer? Did he want to prove his heritage? Did he simply want to be the best? Was it money? Was he just trying to get on the fast track to the Hokage seat? Or was there another reason? Did his reasons involve blonde hair and a metal fan, or did they have something to do with a cradle, a young one who he would eventually teach all his secrets to? Why didn't he simply graduate with people his own age? He would have been a shoe-in for Rookie of the Year, and he would have spent more time with Temari. But then again, nothing that happened the past 2 years wouldn't have been so much as the demented writings of a madman had he not gone to Suna with Hiruzen. Finally reaching his decision, he looked back at his new teammate, before recoiling slightly, seeing that everyone, even the dogs, was staring at him intently. Can I help you? He asked irritably, seemingly snapping the rest of them out of their own trances, before he gave his answer. I don't really know. I am not trying to prove anything. I think I just want to become strong to protect those I care about. Temari-chan, Gigi, even Tucci Oji-san, and Ayame-ne-chan. Naruto told them softly, the four of them smiling at his response. What about you two? If I had to say, I just want to be a strong clan head and have a family, reflected Hana. I want to be the best swordsman in the village, said Munio simply. After that, the three of them continued to talk, ranging from family, to hobbies, to food, to training. Finally, as the sun finally went down, the three said goodbyes, and went home to prepare for next day's test, unaware of the smiling woman sitting on the top of the stand. Next morning, Ohio. Hana-chan. Munio-san. Shouted Naruto to his team, the two of them responding in kind. You guys ready? Asked Hana, to which the males both nodded. After waiting 10 minutes, Makoto eventually showed up, the three genin hopefuls' eye immediately zeroing in on her. Hello there. I bet the three of you are wondering what this little test of ours is. It's very simple. All you have to do is find me, fight me, and capture me, and since I am a nice person, I'll give you until noon to do so. Is this unfair for you or us? Asked a nervous Munio, who was carrying a long, slightly curved wrapped package that was almost as tall as he was, prompting a savage grin on the Uchiha's face that hadn't appeared in years. Oh, trust me, it's unfair for you, Makoto told them, before disappearing. Well, that's interesting, remarked Munio, the other two nodding. Okay, I am an Inuzuka, so I am probably the best tracker, started Hana, before pausing to see if either of the males wanted to try. When we find her, Munio and I'll be close rank assault, and you, Naruto, will provide long-range support. I remember yesterday that you said you could use Fuinjutsu. Do you have anything that could restrain someone? She finished. Yeah, I've got several types. I've got ones that you place on the body that restricts movements. One that you place on the body that restricts chakra use. I haven't learned the combined tag yet, and one that you place on a kunai or on a surface that makes a barrier. Naruto told them, handing Hana and Munio a few of each tag, before hesitating and pulling out a fourth kind of tag. Here, you should plant these as you go. They're kind of like explosive tags, but, in my opinion, deadlier. Trust me, if you get hit by this, you will die. The only reason that I am willing to use them on Makoto-sensei is due to her being a jonin. Nodding, Hana went off with her dogs, Munio following close behind, with Naruto further back, for 1 hour. Makoto led the 6 of them on a merry chase around the forest, until she deemed it long enough to let them catch up. The 3 genin and the dogs finally landed in a clearing where the jonin stood, the 3 genin breathing rather heavily, the dogs panting. "Well, what are you waiting for?" asked their new sensei. At this, Hana immediately growled, and got on all fours, before shouting, "Shikyaku no Jutsu, 4 legs technique. Let's go you guys." Hana then ran towards Makoto along with the Haimaru brothers. Before shoving off the ground and rolling faster and faster before all 4 looked like buzz saws. Shooting towards the woman, Gatenga, Fang rotating Fang, which was easily dodged. When Hana finally stopped, she landed on her hands, before shooting back at the woman feet first and face down, trying to kick her, which was also dodged. However, as soon as Makoto landed, she was forced to duck, lest she get decapitated from behind by Munio, who was wielding an odachi that was 3 feet long, with another 12 inches of hilt, revealing what had been in the package. Makoto was then forced to jump away as a red-orange orb occupied the space she was just in, ending up in a 3-point stance. A few yards away. When she looked up, she quickly went through a few quick hand signs, and with a thought of Suidon no Jutsu, water style. Water bullet technique. Expelled several large globes of water at the dozen or so of the red-orange globes, dissipating them. "Are you trying to kill me, Naruto?" she asked with an avid grin on her face. "I haven't had this much fun in years, you're a jonin, you're used to it," replied the youngest human there, the same exact grin on his face. True, but she started, before she was once again forced to dodge the pack of living buzz saws and the odachi-wielding bean pole. Makoto continued to dodge the genin's attacks, until, at one point, both Hana and Munio attacked her from either side. The Uchiha matriarch simply flipped onto her hands, and performed a perfect split kick which sent both genin impacting a tree, the triplets breaking formation to check on their master, before the woman shot off several more bursts of water to dispel all of Naruto's orbs. "Is that all? I was hoping this would be more of a challenge," she taunted, getting a rise out of most of her opponents. "Maybe I should go ahead and fail you right now?" At this, she looked around to see Hana scowling, the Haimaru brothers growling, Munio with a pained look on his face, and Naruto, smiling. "What's so funny?" "This," replied the Jinchuriki, holding up half the ram sign, before a tag that had been slightly buried in the dirt about an inch away from her foot went off, revealing itself to be one of the dangerous tags that he had given his team. "What?" she proclaimed, wide-eyed, as another red-orange orb with a diameter of about 6 inches came out of the tag, hovered about 3 feet off the ground, and then expanded to about 10 times its original size before disappearing, forcing the woman to once again dodge. "Not bad, Naruto, but you'll have to do better than that." "Damn, I am out of practice. I would never have even dreamed of getting caught in that before Itachi was born," she thought, before her eyes once again widened in surprise as Naruto once again made the hand seals, showing a couple dozen more seals hidden throughout the clearing. Oh shit. With that, she spent the next minute or so simply trying not to be killed by her obviously psychotic team, dodging one miniature sun after another as the 3 genin watched. She could have easily gotten out of it, of course, but she decided to humor them. Then, it came down to the final 4 tags, all arranged in a square, though nothing seemed to happen. "Ah, sorry Naru-chan. It looks like your seals are duds," taunted Makoto, who then tried to walk out of the square, only to hit an invisible wall. "Yeah, we did it," shouted Hana, jumping up and down with Naruto, while Munio simply sat down against a tree. Wish as they were celebrating, a wire suddenly wrapped around the tree and Munio, as Makoto disappeared in a cloud of smoke. "Not bad kitties, but I think I am going to take the velvet gloves now," warned the Uchiha, before she began to completely decimate them. Noon I still got it, thought Makoto happily, as the 3 genin and dogs lay on the ground around her in various stages of beat the hell up and exhaustion. "I thought you guys wanted to be genin, but I guess not. Line up," she commanded, the 3 of them doing as ordered, the Haimaru brothers lining up behind Hana. "Now, I'll say, that wasn't half bad, but there's definite room for improvement. Now, I see potential here, but from that abysmal performance, I am only going to teach 2 of you. You can either vote to have one of the others dropped from the program, or you can volunteer. What's it going to be?" asked their sensei, getting scandalized looks from the 3 children. "What? What do you mean?" started Hana, but before she could really get going, she was interrupted by Munio. "I volunteer to be dropped from the program," he said calmly, before he was smacked on the back of the head by both Hana and Naruto, though Naruto had to use chakra to strengthen his legs to do so. "No, I volunteer. I should have graduated this year anyways," argued Naruto. Then he was smacked by Hana too. Neither of you will be dropped. I can just teach my brother how to be a proper clan head, the dog-loving girl told them. No, you both need to be shinobi to lead your clans. I can just become a samurai or something to be a good swordsman, shouted the brunette, causing the three of them to start fighting each other in a good old-fashioned anime dust cloud, arms, legs, and heads popping out every once in a while. Makoto, meanwhile, simply watched, every now and then holding out something that was grabbed by one of the combatants to hit the others with, first a chair, then a tree limb, a golf club, a fish, things like that. When the three genin hopeful exhausted themselves, Makoto stood above them, a disapproving expression on her face. You three can't even decide who to drop from the program, she nearly shouted, making the genin flinch. I guess that the three of you are going to have to. Dramatic pause for genin to imagine the worst pass. Wah, came the intelligent response from the bruised team. You pass. The highest edict of Konoha is camaraderie, the ability to place the good of one's team, or the village, before oneself. Myself, the Hokage, even the two people who guard the gates, would gladly give our lives to protect the village and those who live within its walls, by telling me to spare the others. You've each shown me that you share this edict. Congratulations, Team 14, you are now all official genin. Yada. And that's that. Thank you for reading. Naruto seems remarkably fluent for a 7-year-old, doesn't he? What do you guys think of my O.C. Muneo? Now, if you'll excuse me, I must go meet up with my friend, Albert Whisker. Yes, I put Whisker instead of Wesker on purpose. Oh Make, how the hell are you doing that? Nay, Naruto-kun, have you ever played shogi? Asked Temari, who was rather bored, as it was a Saturday afternoon, during which both children were told by their senseis to take it easy. No, I haven't Temari-chan, why do you ask? Wondered Naruto, as Temari get a large grin on her face, before leaving the room, ignoring Bacchus' heavy snoring, and coming back with a board and a box of pieces. Now, Naruto, there are 40 pieces, she started. 2 hours later, 8. How are you doing that? Shouted Temari as she stared at the board, the pieces showing her 10th loss in a row. At this, Naruto simply shrugged and said, I don't really know, I just move whatever piece feels right. Damn it, she screamed, before she picked up the board and all its pieces, grabbed his hand, and dragged him out of the house, Bacchus' inebriated catcalls following them as they went. Where are we going, Temari-chan? Asked Naruto, getting a frustrated huff from Temari, before she said, we're going to Shikamaru's house. Shikamaru's house. Knock knock knock. Yeah, I am coming. Shouted a voice from inside the house as Temari pounded on the front door. What do you need? Asked a man with a pair of scars on his face as he opened the door, before looking around confusedly, not seeing anyone, before looking down as Temari coughed. Hello Shikaku-san, is Shikamaru-san here? She asked, getting a nod from the man, before he turned his head towards a set of stairs visible from the door. Shikamaru, you have visitors, he shouted, startling the two blondes, before a shout of I am sleeping was heard. They have a shogi board, the man yelled back, and around 30 seconds later Shikamaru came stumbling down the stairs yawning and rubbing his eyes. Who has a yawn shogi board? Asked the brunette boy, before he saw it was a rather annoyed-looking Temari and a rather confused-looking Naruto. Hey guys, how's it going? He asked, before Temari grabbed his wrist and dragged both boys to where the two of them usually played shogi, and started setting up the game. Nay, Temari-san, what are you doing? Asked the lazy boy, getting an annoyed sound from the blonde girl, who simply replied I want to test something. After she set up the board, Temari set Naruto on one side, and Shikamaru on the other, and commanded them to play. Not wanting to face her female fury, they complied. 2.5 hours later. How are you doing that? Screamed Temari, as Shikamaru, Shikaku, who had been watching out of curiosity the whole time, and Yoshino, Shikamaru's mother, who had arrived about an hour in, stared at the board showing Shikamaru's 7th loss in a row. I told you, Temari-chan, I just move whichever piece I feel is right, said Naruto, who was shaking in fear and ready to bolt as soon as he saw a fan appear. Troublesome, thought Shikamaru, who was also getting ready to flee. Amazing, I don't think I've ever seen someone beat Shikamaru so thoroughly except for Shikaku-kun, thought Shikamaru's mother. I wonder if he'd like to play against me, wondered Shikaku, as he started walking over to tell the two blondes that it was time to leave, as it was getting rather late. 9. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX Itachi violated that edict during an important meeting. 2. Hiashi doesn't really care one way or another about Naruto, he simply wants the test to be fair. 3. I am pretty sure that a Chunin wouldn't actually make this mistake, but it's my story. 4. Just so that there's no confusion, the class graduated on Friday, the council meeting happened on Saturday, the retest was Monday, and the Genin meeting their sensei happens on the Friday after the original test. 5. If you think this is too much, then let me remind you that he's been training for 2 years to be, and by a shinobi. 6. Kegawa equals fur, Ashi equals paw, Juka equals muzzle. 7. A 3-point stance is where you have both feet, and one hand on the ground. 8. I don't really know how long a game of shogi usually lasts, so I just used a random amount of time. 9. For those that were wondering about the score between Temari and Shikamaru, Temari has won 6 games, while Shikamaru has won 13. Now, as penance for the sin of a fake update, here is the teaser trailer for Red and Blue. Red and Blue. My name is Namikaze Minato, and I wish to be Hokage. Shouted the blonde-haired blue-eyed boy, standing in the middle of the silent classroom, before a round-faced redhead burst into maniacal laughter, almost going into hysterics, as she used what appeared to be an Uchiha girl to steady herself, trying not to fall out of her seat, causing a rain cloud to appear over the boy's head. My name is Namikaze Naruto, and, all I want is, a family, came the timid, barely hearable voice from another blonde, the only difference between this one and the previous being a pair of bright silver eyes. You go Naruto, shouted the redhead as she instantly stopped laughing and flashed the silver-eyed boy a bright grin and a thumbs up, a rain cloud now thundering above Minato's head as Naruto gave her a small smile in return. Aniki, watch this, shouted Naruto, running up to his brother, who was surrounded by his friends. Try as he might, Naruto simply could not make all that many friends. The nervous nature gained from living in the orphanage with a much more confident and popular brother annoying pretty much everyone but Uzumaki Kushina, who was Naruto's only friend, though she was friends with pretty much everyone except Minato, for some reason. What do you want, Spaz? Taunted one of the other kids, instantly making Naruto recoil, gazing at the ground. Wham! After he had finished punching the boy's lights out, Minato turned to Naruto. You know, as twins, we don't actually know which one of us is the eldest. For all we know, I should be calling you Aniki, joked the blue-eyed blonde good-naturedly, earning a small smile from Naruto. Now, what is so important? He asked, still with that joking tone that seemed to pull everyone towards him. Watch this, it's really cool, Aniki, shouted Naruto again, once more grinning, before he whipped out a kunai, and, before anyone could stop him, stabbed himself in the head with it. Naruto, screamed Minato, only to freeze as Naruto pulled the kunai away with a grin, showing that the tip was horribly bent, Naruto's forehead shining a color similar to his eyes, not even a scratch on it. I have to be with the silver spaz. Damn it, why couldn't we get the good brother? Asked Makoto, as she stared at the nervous-looking Naruto, who was twiddling his fingers nervously. Do you think that our missions are going to be hard? He asked, as the Uchiha rolled her eyes and looked at her other teammate. At least I have you, so it's not all bad, she thought to herself as she gazed at her best friend Kushina. Don't be mean to Naruto-kun, Makoto-chan. He's a good boy, aren't you? She admonished her friend, before turning to the silver-eyed blonde, who nodded enthusiastically. Naruto is a good boy, he repeated, Makoto once again rolling her eyes. Yeah, good and dead, she murmured, ignoring Naruto's paling face and Kushina's further admonishment. I Why? Asked Makoto, gazing in horror up at the bleeding blonde in front of her, the point of the sword in his chest stopped an inch from her face. Because you're my friend, he managed to cough out, his blood staining her face as he did so, before he fell, the blade being dragged out of him, the silver substance coating his skin receding. Well, I guess that a bloodline freak is still a bloodline freak, stated Raiga as he wiped the kiba blade off on a cloth, before glancing back up to Makoto, and smirking. "My team has probably already dealt with your sensei and the other girl by now, so I need to hurry up," he finished, raising the blade above his head, never even having drawn the other one. "Goodbye, little Jenin." With that, he brought it down, never noticing that her eyes were now blood red with 3 tomo each. Naruto, screamed Makoto as he rode her lover to completion, feeling him shoot his seed into her, before she collapsed, her head resting on his chest, listening to his slowly calming heartbeat. "I love you, Makoto," said Naruto suddenly, shocking the woman on top of him to gaze into his eyes in shock, before she smiled, kissed him on the lips, and rest her head against his chest once more, again listening to his heart. "I love you too, Naruto," she replied, before trailing her hand down to clasp his, the two of them falling asleep. It's the Jin no Senshi, Silver Warrior, screamed out one of the Iowa shinobi, before the sound of tearing flesh began to ring out through the smoking hell of what used to be a beautiful forest clearing, as a lone silver blur began to tear through a platoon like tissue paper. "Kill him, take him down," screamed the commanding officer of the group, panicking at seeing one of the unkillable of Konoha got closer and closer. The figure was well known, with several aliases, his true name being Namikaze Naruto. The only person to never be so much as scratched during the current war. As nothing could pierce his armor, blades simply bounced off of him, all but the hottest Kaiden jutsu was violently ended before it could heat him up. Doden was crushed beneath his claws. Raiden was negated by his futon. His speed allowed him to dodge any futon attacks, his bloodline allowing him to shed any rust from Suiden jutsu, and the seal tags given to him by his brother and the Mon's girlfriend allowed him to neutralize the only Jinchuriki he had ever faced. After about 10 minutes of screaming, explosions, and the sounds of moving earth, all suddenly became silent, before the Konoha forces that had been left behind entered the clearing, before several of them vomited. If the clearing had been hell before, its current condition was Satan's happy place, with the entirety of it stained red with blood, various body parts strewn all over the place, with them stained red as well, as in the middle of the clearing, surrounded by corpses that he had made, sat Naruto in the fetal position, caked from head to foot in bodily fluids, mostly blood, rocking back and forth slightly. "I don't want to do this anymore," murmured the blonde as he shed a single tear, though everyone heard him in the dead silent forest, not even the animals or wind disturbing the horrifying scene. "Please Makoto, just tell me why," shouted the silver-eyed warrior for what felt like the 1000th time in hours. "If this is what you want, I will accept it. All I want is a reason. I don't want this, but I can't tell you. I know this is difficult, but this is the way it has to be. Fugaku and I are getting married, and that is final," she screamed, on the verge of tears, the several hours of arguing taking its toll on both of them. "If you know this is difficult, why can't you make it easier? I don't care about your clan, or the law, or what people will think. All I want to know is why. I love you. I want to be with you. I want to father our children. Did everything we did together mean anything to you? Do you think I can just accept this, after all we've been through?" demanded the silver-eyed man. "Regardless of whether you accept it or not, I must do my duty to my clan. You could never understand something like family," screamed Makoto, before she smacked a hand over her mouth, realizing what she had said. "You're right, I could never understand. The only woman I'd want one with just dumped me. I guess that the Namikaze line ends with me," chuckled Naruto darkly, thinking to how Minato had changed his name to Uzumaki for Kushina. He then turned away from Makoto, to her, a clear sign that he didn't want to talk anymore. "The ceremony is at noon on July 20th. You're invited along with your brother and Kushin. I hope to see you there," droned Makoto, a slightly dead look in her eyes as well as she made to leave, before she paused, looking back over her shoulder at him. "I love you, Naruto. No matter what happens, I just want you to know that," stated the Uchiha woman, before she disappeared. "I love you too, Makoto," whispered Naruto to himself, before he broke down on the forest floor, crying. Looking out upon the ceremony, she couldn't help but feel miserable. He didn't even come, she thought, as the music began to play, and she started to walk down the aisle. Upon reaching the altar, she once again scanned the crowd, seeing her favorite shade of red next to her favorite shade of blue, but her favorite color out of all, silver, was nowhere to be seen. Realizing this, she looked to her husband to be, that arrogant smirk of his making her physically sick, though she didn't show anything, maintaining the stoic facade that all the Uchiha clans seem to have since birth. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here today," began the priest, though she simply didn't care, slipping. "If anyone knows of any reason as to why these two should not be wed, speak now, or forever hold their peace." Upon hearing this, the bride-to-be once again glanced at the empty seat next to her best friend's husband sadly, wishing that despite all she had told him, he had come to stop her from doing this, tears that she refused to let fall putting pressure behind her eyes, as she closed them, taking a deep breath. Looking once again at the crowd, only this time at her best friend. She could tell the slightly spastic redhead wanted so desperately to say something, anything, to prevent this, but couldn't. The girl had been told by the bride, her brother-in-law, and her husband, that this was the way things were supposed to be, that she couldn't do anything. The beautiful redhead was on the verge of tears, physically hurting herself not saying anything, if the almost unnoticeable drops of blood on the carpet from her clenched hands were anything to go by. She then thought of what had led to this moment, all the hardships, all the good times, the bad times, all that she had gone through to be with her love, and he with her, only for it all to be meaningless. "Makoto," said Fugaku, frowning at her from his place opposite her. "I apologize, I was thinking about something," she replied, a frown upon her soon-to-be husband's face, before the smirk returned after an "I do" from the Uchiha woman. And for a split second, for a moment just before the kiss, as she once again scanned the crowd, she saw him, Naruto. He stood in the very back, leaning against the wall next to the exit doors, a sad smile on his face, watching as Makoto and Fugaku got closer and closer, his eyes shiny with moisture, and an instant after black eyes met silver, her view was blocked off by Fugaku in the kiss that sealed the two together in the eyes of all. Once again, at this point, all she could feel was nausea. She didn't want this man, but there was no other choice. She had to do this for her family and clan. As much as she wanted the brother of the Hokage, the Uchiha simply didn't fraternize outside the family. There were no ifs, ands, or buts about it. She would do her duty to her clan, even if it meant that she would be unhappy for the rest of her life. Even if it meant that he would be unhappy. As she separated from her now husband, Makoto's eyes instantly latched upon the spot she saw the only man she had ever truly loved last once again, but he was gone. She would not see him again for almost 9 years. Pardon me, sensei, but you seem to have called everyone's name but my own, came the polite call from the 7-year-old Itachi Uchiha, said to be the greatest the clan had ever produced since Madara Uchiha himself. "Actually, Itachi-kun, you've been asked to be the apprentice of a very important figure in the village." "Namikaze Naruto," replied the little old man who taught the class, one of the only ones who treated those from clans and those not the same. Amid the murmuring, Itachi couldn't help but feel bored, and sighed. He had been hoping to be placed upon a regular team, sick of being different, simply wanting to be just like everyone else, tired of being the prodigy, but no. He was now the apprentice of the strongest active shinobi in the village, Kushina and his parents being off active duty, all 3 of the Sannin outside the village, the Sandaime dead, and the Yondaime stuck behind his desk. He wanted you to meet him at Training Ground 27 at noon. "If you wish to, you may leave now, but it's not for another 2 hours, stated the old man, Itachi walking away before he had even finished. Upon reaching the training grounds, whatever image he had had of his sensei was instantly shattered as he gazed upon the man surrounded by empty bowls of what smelled like ramen, a few popsicle wrappers, and a rather large jug of sake, sleeping in the middle of the medium-sized clearing, snoring in a way that Itachi was able to hear almost a minute before seeing him. Currently, the man was wearing extremely loose pants, with a rather loosely done robe, though in a contradiction, the belt was done up tightly, as well as being barefoot. "Sensei?" asked Itachi politely, thinking that this was going to be even more of a waste of time than he thought if this was their first meeting. Instantly, the blonde's eyes snapped open, his right hand immediately shifting to one of the bowls, which was the hurled at Itachi's head, barely missing it as the boy dodged. "Good one," complimented the blonde man, Itachi nodding in response. He then glanced at a small alarm clock next to him that Itachi had somehow missed. And raising an eyebrow at the time, "Well, that wasn't a waste of time or anything. Anyways, normally, I am supposed to have us introduce ourselves, but that's rather redundant. Either it'll fail you, and you go back to the academy, or we have all the time in the world to get to know one another later. At this point, I am supposed to test you to see if you've got what it takes to be a shinobi, but if I didn't think you did, I wouldn't have specifically asked for you, now would I? But I do have to test you, so we're going to have a spar." "A spar?" asked the slightly incredulous Itachi. Was this man going to ignore the fact that he was an Uchiha like his last sensei? This might not be so bad. "Yes, a spar, nothing more, nothing less. I want to see your abilities for myself," stated the blonde as he and Itachi entered fighting stances, before blurring out of existence. Several hours later, well, I am pretty sure that you are ready to be a shinobi. I was honestly going to pass you within the first 10 minutes. But you exceeded each and every one of my expectations, stated Konoha's juggernaut as he sat cross-legged in front of a sweating, panting, and half-conscious Itachi, as he lay face down in the dirt, the training ground around them utterly unrecognizable, as the two had used everything they had, with Naruto literally using the enhanced strength given to him by his bloodline to throw down trees at the boy. In an effort to neutralize one another, I actually considered fighting with Jonin's strength just to stay on top of the battle. I didn't, but almost. Good for you. Thank you, sensei, panted out Itachi, gazing at the completely unwinded man as he took a small swig from his water bottle. After all, if I didn't think you could pass, I wouldn't have even bothered with you. You're my first ever student, you have natural talent, and I see a lot of potential in you, Itachi, and it's now my job to nurture that potential into actual skill. Know this, by the time you are Chunin, you will curse your existence, and damn my name in your prayers at night. You may belong to the village, but right now, you belong to me. No student of mine will be half-assed, recited Naruto ominously, Itachi actually panicking slightly at the mon's words and manic grin. Naruto-sensei, it is my understanding that Yondaime-sama's son Menma, your nephew, is at our house on a play date with Sasuke. Would you like to come and visit the two of them? Asked Itachi, after a long day of Naruto beating the hell out of Itachi a few months later, Naruto apparently believing that pain made the lesson stick. Itachi could honestly say that Naruto was one of the few men he genuinely respected. He had heard dozens of stories about the man during the war, but knowing him in person was completely different. The Tetsudamashi user figuratively, and literally, hammered skills into the Uchiha, all kinds of skills. Valuable ones, useless ones, weird ones, including tracking, cooking, trap making, genjutsu, origami, and even interior decorating. One weird day, Itachi's sensei had never once treated him differently because of who he was, slightly a lie, as Naruto did actually treat Itachi differently from everyone else, but that was because the boy was his student, and not because of his name, actually making the young Uchiha feel normal, a rather pleasant change to the norm of people figuratively kissing his ass. After a few seconds of silence, a hesitant nod from the blonde Jonin was all the slightly confused Itachi needed before he walked away, back to the village, leading his still slightly out of it Naruto to his house. Several minutes passing by, the two made it to the Uchiha district, and while the guards and all the Uchiha they passed were slightly tense, there was no real incident until they reached the clan head's home, Naruto stopping Itachi several feet away with a hand on the boy's shoulder. She was currently on her knees in front of her house, thick gloves on as she tended the garden there, transplanting a small bunch of bright purple azaleas from a pot into a small hole in the ground. A trowel stabbed into the earth a little ways away. Looking upon her, Naruto couldn't help but examine her. The glories of motherhood and age making her even more beautiful than before. Her alabaster skin almost glowing to his eyes, her black hair curtaining around her slightly sweaty face. Though she had left active duty almost a month after her marriage to Fugaku, she was still in very good shape, no excess body fat, taut, wiry muscles beneath her skin, subtly shifting with every movement she made. Her clothing was also radically different from her time as a kunoichi, with a simple dark purple blouse, a red plum skirt and a light yellow apron atop that. "Hello, Makoto," said Naruto to his student's mother a minute later, the woman flinching at the sound, before slowly turning around from her place tending the garden in front of her home, her youngest son Sasuke playing with Menma, who was pretty much a black-haired clone of Minato with whisker marks on his face, the two of them obliviously petting a cat on the porch. Her eyes are just as beautiful as I remember, he thought to himself, gazing into the soft black pools. Just as he had looked at her, so too was Makoto examining Naruto. The first thing she saw were his eyes, still my favorite color. Mostly though, the only real difference to him now were the fact that he was slightly taller, his changed wardrobe, and a few new scars, gained in the time that neither had seen the other. "It's been a long time," said Makoto, the first to break the silence after 10 seconds. "Yes, it has," stated Naruto simply, the two of them simply staring into each other's eyes, before both of their expressions softened, before Naruto walked away, leaving Menma play with Sasuke, never having even looked at the boys. This confused Itachi, as he had seen Naruto with Menma before, and only direly important matters superseded the mon's time with his family. Then the way the two adults had looked at one another, he had noticed certain people look at each other in that way. The Yondaime and his mother's best friend Kushina, the Sandaime and his wife before the two's untimely demise, countless others in the village, all having one thing in common, love. His mother had certainly never looked at his father in that way, at most gazing at the man with amused disconnect, but mostly with apathy, as though she purely didn't care about the man who had fathered her children. Do the two of you love each other? Wondered Itachi to himself, as he and his mother watched the legendary figure walk away from his family home. The end. Thanks for watching. Also remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.